Hello and welcome to On the Esky, our sports podcast where we like to talk about all the sports news from around the world. The full table again, all four boys are back. Massive show planned. We want to tackle the NRL and AFL news stories from the week as always. We're going to then talk about the IPL and how they've struggling with the Rona at the moment. And we hate talking about Rona, but I think we've got to in this case. Of course, there's a massive UFC card, 261. We've got F1 news, a little bit of golf and soccer as well to finish this off, which is, good to talk about. This is much better take 3. Let's go to Shout a Beer and straight over to Macca to talk about his lovely Western Bulldogs.
Yes, you'd think I'd be shouting the Dogs a beer after starting 6-0, but unfortunately this is a sad beer. I've got to shout here. Lin Jong, journeyman at the Western Bulldogs. Poor bugger. He's battled injuries his whole 10 years he's been at the club. He missed the 2016 grand final with a collarbone shoulder, and unfortunately the injury bugs hit him again. Massive clubman. The boys around there love him. He's one of the funnier blokes at the club, and they've kept him around. He's such a good wholesome guy to have around, and the hamstring, finally got back to footy. Came to Canberra, where the legend factory we call it down here, Manuka Oval, and halfway through the first quarter tears a hamstring. He's had his surgery, or he's booked in for his surgery now, and poor bugger, he was absolutely tearing up the VFL. The Dogs Beveridge had to put him in the team. So,
is that season done, or will he get back towards the end?
I think it'll be very close, and if not, the way the Dogs are going, he won't be able to just come straight back in. He'll need to run some footy together. Hopefully, get back, maybe win a VFL flag when both teams go undefeated this year. But have a beer on me, Lynn. Very sad stuff, mate. But all the best in your recovery. Hopefully, get back on the list and back into it next year.
It wasn't just your standard hammy. It was like the tendon ripping off, and it's like 10 to 12 weeks they're saying. So what are we, week 6 now? Yeah. So that's be right into the run into finals. It'd be amazing if he comes back from that. But
you'd want a block of footy as well before footy.
The depth of the Dogs. Some of his injuries, like you mentioned, the broken collarbone, which made him miss the 2016 flag, where he was playing lights out that year as well. Yeah. He's done 2 collarbones. He's broken his jaw. He's ruptured his appendix. And he's done an ACL on top of that. Like, he's just one of those blokes where it just can't buy any luck, and one of those really just cruel stories of injury, ridden play. So, thoughts go out to Lynn, and like you say, maybe he goes out and wins a VFL flag, or it'd be amazing if he can get back into the ones. I
know I'm on a time limit whenever I talk Bulldogs, but the best Lin Jong story I've heard, and he's a bit of a larrikin, but when he did do that collarbone and he missed the grand final, he actually played the VFL grand final, and his shoulder and his collarbone was that cooked, he actually strapped his other shoulder. So when other opposition would go up to him, they'd go up to his go to the taped shoulder and give him a couple of whacks.
Trojan horse, if you will.
That was his good shoulder. He played out the whole game. Actually played pretty well, and then came at the end and said, "I had the different shoulder strapped up." So so larrikin of the club, big clubman. So have a beer on us.
Yeah. So my beer that I'm shouting out to the Brisbane Broncos, because come out during the week, they've. I don't know if it was a crazy plan, but they're being very ambitious. Of course, they've let Tom Dean go and supposedly didn't even offer him any deal. And we'll talk a bit more about that when we get to it. But there's talk that they're going to offer Mitch Moses shitloads of money. If they can't get him, Sean Johnson, who I think's only been offered a 1-year $400K deal from the Sharkies.
Really? He's still better than that.
Yeah, and we'll get to the Adam Reynolds news in a minute, but he could be on the out there. So he's the fullback. But then they're also looking at Ponga for the following year to come back as fullback. So if they get Stags to play 6, maybe Moses to play 7, and then you put Ponga back there as 1, that's how you rebuild a team. So
if they can do that, you need to shout them a few slabs of beer.
Yeah. So a massive shout out to Kevin Walters and the Brisbane board up there. If you can pull this off, I think the rest of the Brisbane teams, well, the rest of the Brisbane fans, will be very, very happy.
Yep. So I'm going to shout Pat Cummins a beer. So obviously playing for Macca's, Calcutta, Knight Riders over in the IPL at the moment. So this week he came out with a heartfelt tweet. Obviously India being ravaged by the C word at the moment. Desperate need of lots of medical supplies. So Cummins has donated $50,000 to a fund called Cares Fund, which is going to be supplying oxygen to hospitals. So I guess in the tweet he mentioned how the Indian government had come out and said that the IPL is providing a little bit of joy to everyone in the country and has been able to help lift the mood. So next beer's on me, Pat Cummins.
Very
Absolutely.
good.
Well, great shout that one. I think, Monks, for sure. And well done, Paddy. Of the Kolkata Knight Riders, may I add. So.
Your Kolkata Knight Riders.
What about you, Peps? Who owes a beer?
I am shouting Chris Walker a beer, the former centre for the Roosters, Broncos and Queensland State of Origin team. He's partnered up with Fund My Challenge. He's walking, if you don't mind, from Cairns to the Gold Coast. He's going to raise funds for a few charities there, Beyond Blue, Rise Up Australia and the Alcohol and Drug Foundation. A few of the lads actually bumped into him up on the weekend. He's up in Cairns with Nate Miles. They're going to do the leg to Townsville together. It's funny. I thought Walker and Miles, walking some miles. Yeah, we'll put that one back. But
Hopefully
he's going to be joined later in the walk by Lincoln Lewis, Stephen Bradbury, Joel Parkinson for the later legs. It's a 1,757 kilometre journey. It felt like that for me on the plane. I got to admit, on Monday morning. So he's planning to walk 30K a day. That's going to take him hopefully 66 days to do the whole thing. And that is a behemoth effort. Get around him, and I'm shouting you, Chris Walker, a beer. You'll need one after that.
Oh, he'll love it.
Nearly 1,800 kilometre journey.
He'll be thirsty for one after that.
Definitely.
So, Peps, Macca, and Monkey, what do you want to tackle first?
We're going to do the cricket. Is that what we're doing?
The cricket.
So we'll jump into the IPL. It's been 6 days, as we said. So how many games have been played? 6 or 7?
I think it was 7.
7?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
Yes, 7.
So let's start off with the news, I guess. And the first kind of point off is, India at the moment kind of struggling with, as some journalists have reported it as the COVID tsunami for their second wave. Hit really, really bad. Of course, we send out all our love to all the Indian fans. I hope yourselves and also your family and friends do the best they can. Don't get affected by this. Get
Stay
vaccinated,
safe,
wear your mask. The whole thing.
Horrible.
Yeah, it's horrible. Some of the pictures of the mass cremations, etc. over there, it's really, really
They're getting
sad.
300,000 cases a day.
It's awful.
Yeah.
We're obviously, really lucky, really blessed that we can be full morons here sitting here talking about sport. We love our cricket. We love talking about our sport, and we hope, to the few fans that we do reach, please, just know that you are in our thoughts. We are thinking of you out there, and just hang in there, and any little glimmer of joy we can give you here talking about a bit of IPL. We hope we can bring it to you guys.
I think the IPL
Definitely.
going ahead, is probably still bringing some joy to the Indian people, and we just hope that it can continue without any further hiccups, and they can get on top of this second wave.
Absolutely.
Definitely, yeah.
So following that news, a few of the Australians, so of course we're Australians, we're following the Australians. So Kane Richardson, Adam Zampa, and then Andrew Tye have all headed home. I think, so a bit of a side note, the Australian government has prevented all international flights to and from India, there we go, to May 15th. So Andrew Tye, I think, is the only one that has landed back. He's back in Australia's soil. The other two, I think, are still stuck. I'm not sure if they're in Singapore or if they're still in India, but they're planning to make their way back. There's some talk from Chris Lynn today. I'm not sure if you guys saw that about, can we get a chartered plane? And everyone's just like, boy, settle the fuck down. Like, you're not priority. You went over there to make shitloads of money. We're not going to bring you back quickly.
Yeah.
So,
I can see sort of where he's coming from, but there's close to tens of thousands of Australians stuck over in India as well, Australian citizens that had gone back to visit family, and then it got stuck over there, and just hearing some horrible stories. So
I agree. And it seems like they're not going to be the only ones. There's be others that will probably looking to head home, not just Australians, of course. It sounds like some of the commentators want out of this too. They're like, we've come over, but we I guess the thing is that they don't feel safe. It's probably the best way. They're worried, they're concerned. And we talked about, sorry to cross sports, but Alex Volkanovski, he's he's not flyweight, is he? Featherweight world champion of the world in UFC, and he had an absolute,
He got rocked. He got rocked by Corona.
Yeah, was in hospital, and you're like, you can't get more fit blokes than him.
Yep.
So you can see why these guys, especially late hand, they're getting up there. They're not in the high risk bracket yet, but they're blokes that have sitting around talking about cricket, enjoying their meat pies, maybe a little bit worried about their own safety and health.
And it's not just the Aussies. Ravi Ashwin, he announced that he's going to take a break. He said his family is struggling with some COVID cases at the moment. He did say that he will return to the competition if things go in the right direction. So thinking of Ravi Ashwin, and that's a massive loss for the Delhi Capitals at this stage. But amidst all of this, the tournament does go on. So
still trucking along.
Yeah, and we're enjoying the cricket. So just thinking of all our. Thinking of India as a whole, and hopefully they can get on top of this, but let's get stuck into these games.
I think they've got another 3 and a bit weeks of group stages before they get into the finals. The finals, of course, are the end of May. I don't think COVID for them, unfortunately, will bypass them as part of this process. I think
you'd say it'll be an ongoing thing throughout the tournament.
Yeah. And I don't think they haven't had crowds very much for the IPL, have they? No, nothing.
Nothing.
Which for them will be a bit disappointing when they get to the finals and there'll be absolutely no one there. But I think it's the best thing. Of course, the players are still in their bubbles trying to stay safe. And
they got good fake crowd noise as well on there. I was watching my Royal Challengers Bangalore, and they got the RCB chants going. So got a little bit of a simulated atmosphere at least. Great
segue. Go into match 16 in the RCB.
RCB, they belted Rajasthan Royals in their sexy pink kit. They beat them by 10 wickets at Mumbai. Rajasthan, they batted first. They made 9 for 177. Top scorers, Shivam Dubey and Rahul Tewatia with 46 and 40 respectively. Mohammad Siraj was the main damage doer for the... Bangalore, and he had 3 for 27. Cole Jamieson, we said he is on a big contract. He had 1 for 28. 177 proved very easy for the challengers.
Easy is a word.
Yeah, to chase this down, and it all came off the back of a Devdutt Padikkal 101 not out of 52. It's just the second century of the IPL. He's only 20. He's a lefty, and he has been scoring runs for fun before this. He made 4 consecutive tons for Karnataka in the Vijay Hazare Trophy. That's their limited overs, 50 overs tournament over there. Yep. He's on the minimum contract, so he's on 20 lakh, 28 grand US. And he brought up his 50 in 27 balls. He was batting with Kohli and scoring way quicker than Kohli. And Kohli made 72 and it was the first 10 wicket win from this IPL.
Well, we talked about the big 3 they've got in their team, and then it's neither of those 3 that are the ones firing at the moment, leading those guys. Well, Kohli 72, Maxwell getting 250s. They're definitely there, but I think it's extra bonus. Sorry, it's an extra bonus that they have a guy that getting paid peanuts that comes out and absolutely is dominating for them, which is excellent for their chances.
He will play for India.
Fucking earth. Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. And like Sean says, you drop, a century in between AB de Villiers, Glenn Maxwell, Virat Kohli, and, the 2 of those don't have to bat. That's they're top of the ladder for a reason. And then that's what we said. Who else could score runs there? Well, there's 100 off 50 rocks. So
very impressive there. Match 17 saw the Punjab Kings Punjab Kings down the end of the table. They smoked the Mumbai Indians by 9 wickets. Mumbai 6 for 131 at Chennai. Rohit Sharma made 63, not the only sort of bloke to score some runs there. It was Mohammad Shami and Ravi Bishnoi. They both had 2 for 21 off their 4 overs. And then Punjab, they got the runs easily via KL Rahul with a 60 not. And Chris Gale, the master blaster, finally made a few runs. He had 43 not in this one as Punjab Kings cruise to the victory.
Yeah, I don't want to say Mumbai are in all sorts at the moment. They are they're 2 from 3, so they're
2 and 3.
So 2 wins, 3 losses from their 5 games. So they're still in the 4th position on the table.
They're not out of it, but they're disappointed.
But the top 3 have all had 4 wins, so they got their 2 wins ahead of them. So they're disappointed for considering the roster they've got put together.
For sure, can't argue with you on that one. Match 18 saw the Rajasthan Royals defeat Macca's beloved Kolkata Knight Riders.
Well.
The Knight Riders, they only managed 9 for 133. And again, we mentioned it last week, this Chennai pitch.
All that Chennai pitch.
Yeah, it seems to be, and it really seems hard to bat first on it as well. Pretty much everyone that wins a toss at Chennai bowls first.
Yep.
Rahul Tripathi top scored for the Knight Riders with 36. You tend not to win too many games when your top scorer has 36. Chris Morris did the damage. He's on big bucks and he earned it in this one, 4 for 23 off his 4 overs. Captain Sandhu Sampson had 42 not to top score for the Rajasthan Royals and get them the victory here.
Diamond duck for Captain Owen Morgan for the Knight Riders. So, shows you where we're going at the moment. But hang in there, Kolkata. I'm feeling a late season charge.
And I'm feeling they might have got a win after this as well. Match 19, Chennai Super Kings defeated Royal Challengers Bangalore by 69 runs. It was the first defeat for Bangalore. The Super Kings went out and made 4 for 191. Faf du Plessis continued his good form with 50 runs. And Ravi Jadeja had probably the most impressive individual showing in the tournament so far. He had 62 not out of 28 balls, and he batted the final over facing Harshal Patel, who's been pretty good, really, for Bangalore, and took him for 37. No ball in there, of course. Of course.
Sorry. Shit.
Yeah. No, you can say it on the Esky. Fuck, that's a really good effort from the man that they call Jadoo. And then Bangalore went out and they got off to a great start. They were number 44 off 3 overs. And then just absolutely...
That man Dev Dutt again,
fell apart. Yeah, well, that was... Dev Dutt, he top scored with 34. But Kohli, 8. Maxi, 22. AB, 4. When those big three don't fire. And our man Padikal top scored. The rest of the batting there is a little bit slim. And it was that man, Ravi Jadeja, 3 for 13, if you don't mind, off his 4 overs. And the guys that he got... Washington Sundar, Glenn Maxwell, AB de Villiers.
Taking cricket. He also ran Dan Christian out, so he was in the thick of everything. He's a fucking good cricketer.
So
my
good.
God, he can cricket.
And when you see him play against Australia, you know, and he's doing his bat celebration, and oh God, he can irk you, but you got to respect the bloke. He's actually a genuine all rounder.
Yeah, he puts Axel Patel and Washington Sundar on notice, and it's like, hey, I'm still here. I'm not going away.
I'm still the Jadoo, baby. Imran Tahir here, 2 for 16, pretty good bowling effort. Not great effort on the hair. I don't think he's rocking like a mullet with a sweatband and frosted tips. So good on you, Imran. He's about 40 odd. So
I work for the pup, so keep going.
Yeah, doing something to stay young. Good on you. Shout out to Imran Tahir. Match 20 saw the Sean's Delhi Capitals defeat Sunrisers Hyderabad in a thriller.
Up the Caps.
20 matches, and we had our first super over here at Chennai. 4 for 159 for the Delhi Caps. The top 4 all made starts, and we're talking about that Chennai deck. It was only the second time at Chennai that the top 4 had made 25 plus runs.
Yeah, right.
Prithvi Shaw, 53, continued his good form, except for running himself out.
Yeah.
And then Shikhar Dhawan, 28, Rishabh Pant, 37, Steve Smith, 34, not was that top 4. Shimron Hetmeyer, the $1 million man out of the West Indies, he was dismissed for 1, hadn't made too many runs at this stage in the IPL.
Came in pretty late, it was just sort of trying to hit it,
Kane Williamson, 66 not, and they needed 16 runs off the last over here from Rabada. The last 3 balls were just lights out from Kasego Rabada, limiting the batsman to singles, and they needed 2 off the last ball, and they only managed a single. So that took it through to a super over. Axar Patel got the ball for the Delhi Caps, bowling to Warner and Williamson, and he kept those 2 guys to just 7 runs. There was a deducted run for a run short here. And there was a few mil in it. And then Rashid Khan got the ball for Hyderabad to bowl to Rishabh Pant and Shikhar Dhawan, and the Capitals won from 2 leg byes in a super over.
What I love about this as well, like the Caps are 3rd, and Hyderabad are last on the table. So you can see there's excellent games still happening throughout. No, it doesn't matter where you are on the table.
Anyone can win on their day.
All these world-class players.
It's an excellent tournament.
And feeling for the Hyderabad boys there. Obviously, David Warner over there. We're kind of touted to be there or thereabouts as making the finals. So,
and they're 1 from 4 from their 5.
Yep. So It's not over yet for them, but they're definitely falling down a bit of a hole down
Well,
there
we're
in Hyderabad.
just over a third through the season, so they can still recover from here. But
Indeed.
they need to start getting on their bike.
Yeah, if their next game is a loss, or if their next two are losses, put a strike through them.
Yeah.
Match 21 saw Macca's Kolkata Knight Riders
Yeah, the boys.
defeat the Punjab Kings, Punjab
Here they
Kings,
come.
on my left here by 5 wickets.
Cop that, monks. An age-old rivalry continues.
Like a 3-week-old rivalry. Mayank Agarwal, 31, top scored for Punjab. Like we say, you don't win too many games when your top scorer is only in the 30s. Prasid Krishna, 3 for 30, with a pick of the bowlers for KKR. And then KKR, they got the runs in the 17th over, pretty cruisy. Owen Morgan, 47 not out, captain's knock in that one. Match 22 last night, Royal Challengers Bangalore take on Delhi Capitals. I'm a Bangalore man, Delhi Caps man here on the right of me, and the Bangalore boys got it done by
Very good game this one.
run.
Yeah. Leading the table as well. They've
That's
won 5.
One and 2.
No,
1 and 3.
1 and 3 now. But they're the Royals are 1.
Royal Challengers Bangalore are 5 and 1 through their 6 games.
Yes.
And Delhi falls to 3rd after this game. It was AB de Villiers going out there, continuing his good form, 75 not off just 42 balls for RCB.
They're looking good with those 4.
Yeah.
They've just added. We've said the top 3. They've added a 4th one to it, and it's like they can get runs. They're going to be hard to beat.
Yeah, it was so close but so far for the Delhi Caps in this one. Rishabh Pant, 58 not out.
Pant's had a good tournament.
Always
actually.
seems to, he that's pretty much water's wet and Pant makes runs.
Yes.
And Shimron Hetmeyer, we did mention before, hadn't really been about the runs recently for the $1 Million Man. He had 53 not off 25 and
won
then
the game,
14 off the last over, which was bowled by Mohammad Siraj. And Siraj just bowled really well, giving up just 2 runs off the first 3 balls of the over. And then Pant hit the next ball for 4, so they needed 6 off the last ball, and he just managed a 4 from the wide Yorker. And you'd never seen anyone celebrate a boundary so much. The boys, the Royal Challengers Bangalore boys getting the win by 1 run there in probably the most thrilling game so far in the IPL.
Yeah, so they're 1 game clear of everyone else, so they're in number 1 spot by themselves.
Yes.
Again, like you say, though, with world class players running around in each team, every game is worth watching. Every game produces some good cricket, and with this change up of venue, really excited to see what a fresh deck can do.
So that, I think, will wrap up our IPL chat for this week. We, of course, will keep following it through the season as we move into May.
The last little bit of cricket news, I did say if Sri Lanka was able to beat Bangladesh in this one,
you'd eat your hat.
I'd sell my house or something along those lines. It ended in a draw. So Bangladesh,
a bit closer. You might have started to get a bit worried.
I was a bit worried because Bangladesh went out there and made 7 for 541. You don't lose too many games with that start. Yeah. Sri Lanka came out and made 8 for 648. Captain Timmuth Karunaratne, he had 244. He's a skipper. And Dhanajaya De Silva, 166. I think Bangladesh went out and made another 100 runs, but this game was over.
So they play on the highway, or what were they?
Absolute road there at Candy.
Nearly 1,200 runs in 2 innings.
Yeah. So Sri Lankan cricket not dead just yet?
No, not just yet. Like we were saying, if they're losing to Bangladesh at home, they're in real big trouble. I think the second test will get underway shortly, and we can report back on that next pod.
Excellent. So that's cricket for the week, and I think we'll move into the NRL. So we'll go domestic with the football codes, and we'll start with the NRL. Of course, over the weekend, we had a great round of Anzac football.
Yeah. Yep.
Essentially, both football codes, also in the fighting. We'll get to that in a minute. Kind of going out there representing the Anzacs, of course, remembering fallen veterans through the first, second, and then subsequent wars since then for our Australian and New Zealand brothers.
And it's such a massive day for the boys. We alluded to it last week. You're out there, the last post is playing, the hairs stand up at the back of your neck, and you're just ready to rip and get stuck into it.
So you want to start off with how shit the Raiders are at the moment?
Well, yeah, I suppose. The Raiders, they coming off a loss last week that none of us really saw coming, 26-24 against the North Queensland Cowboys up there in Townsville.
I think they've scored 2 tries in the second half in the last 3 weeks.
That's the old faders. The old faders are back.
They've got so Ricky's halftime chats have been excellent. So they got no points, of course, in the halftime of this game, and they were dismal against the Cowboys.
Sean, as our resident Raiders fan here, did you saw that Justin O'Neill try to win the game? It looked like
no, I turned it off by this point. I'd had enough.
I was like, even lost by then.
Gee,
oh no, actually, I had seen this, and then I probably turned it off after this.
Yeah, well, they were actually looking at it and back, and it was very touch and go.
It was very touch and go. I think the camera angle they showed, which Vossi and Cronk were looking at, they showed the ball had left the foot a couple inches, and then O'Neill's foot was in front of the ball. If they got the picture where the ball on the foot, I think the foots were probably pretty close to being in line. We're talking millimeters, inches in it.
50-50.
Your missus probably enjoys extra of those, but in this case, but it wasn't helping out the Raiders.
And then it was a really disappointing finish. Actually, the Raiders had the ball and they were on about their third tackle, probably about halfway, moving the ball up with about 30 seconds to go, and Jackie Boy threw it out.
Actually, I did watch this whole game. I did see the end of this. Yeah. I've tried to remove this game from my memory. Let's put it this way. They were that bad in the second half.
Jared Croker, he dislocated his shoulder in about the last 90 seconds of this game.
Unfortunate.
He's only facing 1 to 2 weeks on the sideline.
Well, if it's clean dislocation, of course, if he comes back in and you're more likely to dislocate it, of course. But if it comes back in and resets properly and there's no extra ligament or muscle damage, you're pretty much right to go. You might probably got some soreness. If you can get your swelling or any of that down and treat it accordingly, you'd probably be good to go. The ones you're worried about is you dislocate and then you're destroying rotator cuffs or ligaments or muscles in that vicinity.
You can get ligaments pinched in there and labrum damage. Scans came back fine, so it looks like he'll be good to go in a week or two. We have speculated before on the Esky that if it's not for his leadership and his goal kicking, is he in the best 17? Sean, you reckon he's shit? Can I get that in? Is that what you think?
This season, definitely. He's been shit.
Okay.
His contribution to the team and, of course, coming back into the team, he's just not up to it. I kind of think the game may have gone past him as well. I don't want to say a specialist centre is kind of dying in the NRL at the moment, but you see how the Origin teams are picked. You could kind of say that, hey, those boys are getting overlooked, which is unfortunate. I think we'll talk about New Origin when we get to it. And I had my piece, I think, last year about New South Wales. She'd probably pick some specialist centres instead of playing fullbacks in at centre because it did help out Queensland. But I can't talk when they play a second row at centre for Queensland and they end up winning the series. But I just think that what he's contributing to the team, he's a very high percentage player, so he doesn't play the ball a lot. So he can stifle the attack on that side. Of course, his numbers down. His try assist to 1. He's had 2 line breaks in 5 games. Like he's not adding much to the team. He's probably stifling Rapana outside him or Rapana outside him and Jack inside him in Whitehead. Like they can't. That side just to me feels dead. We talked a little bit last week about Josh Hodgson controlling the ball a bit too much, and he was out of the side. And you can really see in that first half, they opened up. Williams and Jack really contributed to the team. We actually saw a lot of passes going to ground and miscommunication. I'd say it's probably the first time in a long time those boys actually got to control their either side. So I think, I don't want to say this was a training run for them, but there's a lot of learning happening because I think the I don't want to call him a tyrant, but the actual leader of the team that had been there controlling both sides of the field and providing that service of who does what is now out of that game. Starling had a pretty good game out of the middle there, played almost 70, I think, or 75 before Havili came on late. But you could see Jack and Williams really enjoyed that extra. They could use the ball a bit more, but they just faded so bad in the second half. Everything they were trying just didn't work. The ball was going to ground, ball was going out. That of course, is not on Jared Croker, but his contribution within that aspect and throughout where he's come back into the team in the season just has been great. He's clearly been outplayed by Chris, and Chris has been on the wing now with Bailey Simons has come back. I've said that I think Chris should probably be playing centre now. I don't want to say his career is done. I think Jared could go away and improve on what he is. But at the moment, he's playing pretty garbage. He's pretty trash. His return meters, again, is another thing. He just gets absolutely dominated in the return game. He doesn't provide enough for the team outside his goals, kicking, and leadership. That's what's put him back in the team. I don't think it keeps him there. Papali's been dropped. No
one's safe. No one's safe.
I think his current season, I think he's shit.
Okay.
And I get stuck into Dane Copley. Well, Copley's my boy, but he's absolute shit. That's why he's not in the NRL anymore. So I'll get stuck into Jared Croker in this one and say, I think the game's moved on, and you're an above average centre. You need to stay at that above average. You've been average for a couple of years. This year, you haven't hit that mark. You can't. You're not Joe Flacco elite. So you got to move on.
Great shout out, Joe Flacco. Did not expect that at a Raiders preview.
Came out of nowhere.
That's just getting you involved.
I do find that they try and hide him a little bit on defense as well.
Yeah.
So
well, you go back a couple of years. Him and Blake Austin could not defend anybody for their life. I think with Whitehead sitting next to him, that makes it a lot easier on him to defend. He was talked about possibly playing for Origin for his defence, and then the following year he was completely found out. So he hasn't even sniffed Origin since then. He had, of course, the leg injuries, and he had really 2 down years. And then he had an excellent year in 2019 when they made that run and they made the grand final. He was unreal. He hit his above average mark and flirted with elite territory for that year, but he's nowhere near where he was there. He's one of those guys. He's above average. He could be the captain, but he's just flirting with. He's always flirting with. He could be replaced. He could be upgraded. But I don't want to talk about the dying of the specialist centre, but gone are the years of Mark Gasnier, GI, and Tamo. Like the excellent centres where you guys that play the ball, flick passes that absolutely dominate. They just don't seem to be loved anymore, and I just don't know whether. As a general statement, the centres where centres are going in the game, how they're going to be involved, and I'm just not sure Jared Croker's up to the pace and speed. Like Trent Merrin the week before, he's outgrown the game. I'm not sure if the game's outgrown Jared Croker.
Well presented and well articulated. I think you got to cut him some slack. Like he's actually like a Raiders legend. Like he's played 285 first grade games. He's the leading try scorer for the Raiders in all time. He's the leading point scorer for the Raiders. Nearly double Dave Furner's mark there. I think it shows a serious lack of respect to call a man shit or trash or garbage and call for his head after a form slump. I can't see what your angle is here. To say that he's had a slide, that I think that's fair. That's fair. And to bring up the question, does Ricky drop him or think about dropping him and having a word with him? I think that's fair as well. But if you consider yourself a Raiders fan, to be calling a Raiders legend that kind of language, I think it shows it's short-sighted, and I think it lacks respect.
Fair. I could say, I could see your point with the respect, but also respect gets you nowhere in this game. You got to win. And when they're not winning, and they're playing garbage. So Jared's the face of that. He's the captain. His leadership's not providing them with any benefit. I'll give him respect when he can bring that club back to better.
Okay, all right. We'll see what
you got to win.
We'll see what happens. They
should be a top 8 side. At this point, they won't make the 8. I think I put somewhere.
I disagree with that. I've not seen anything to show. They're 3 and 4. It's a long season.
My follow-up point of this is in the next 5, you've got the Raiders. They've got Rabbits, Roosters, and Storm. They won't win any of those games.
No, I don't see them winning. No.
So I think their season's done. I don't think they make the 8.
Okay. I think they will make the 8 this year. I don't think they trouble anyone. But I think it's just too early to say that their season's done after a few poor performances.
If you watch the way they're playing at the moment, they're done. Stick a fork in them, they're cooked.
All right. Well, time will tell. And shout out to Jared Croker if you're listening. I'm sure you'd like to see Sean go left-footed from the sideline and knock it over.
Jared's an excellent bloke. Like honestly, I'm not talking about the bloke. No, he's amazing. His on-field product at the moment is just not providing anything to the Raiders. I think Chris and Bailey Simons is a better combination, and that's the way they should go forward. If he plays out, I really would like to see him improve and then play out the next 10 years and be the leading point scorer in the league. I just don't think he's
not playing 10 years. He's 30.
He's 30. Well, yeah. If play another 5 years, anyway, in 5 years he'll sniff Cameron Smith's record.
He could.
He'll definitely get very, very close to that. But I don't see it happening.
All right, we'll agree to disagree on that one. I think. Let's talk about South. They're coming up against South. We mentioned.
They're going to get pumped to this. If you just listen to me, they're getting pumped.
South.
They just gave up 26 points to 0 to the Cowboys. They're getting pumped by the Rabbits.
Yeah, 26 unanswered points in that second half there. South's coming off a 40-30 win against the Titans. Benji Marshall will be playing his 332nd game this weekend, most ever by a Kiwi, overtaking Adam Blair. There's only 4 Kiwis that have ever played over 300 NRL games, the other 2 being Ruben Wiki and Simon Mannering. The massive news to come out of Redfern in the last 24 hours. We've been speculating
Let's talk about
a lot about it. Adam Reynolds has announced he'll be signing with the Sharks from the start of next year. 3 years, $2.4 million contract. The writing's been on the wall for a long time. I think this is a great grab from the Sharks. They already have gotten rid of Townsend. There's a lot of talk that Johnson and or Moylan might be going. Needed a half. Well, makes sense.
Well, you signed Reynolds. Johnson's done. He's got to find a new club. They may bring Moylan back, and they might think that him at 6 and Reynolds at 7 makes sense. But yeah, the South side wouldn't budge on the 1 year, $800K. So he's got his 3-year deal that he wanted at the same money. The Sharks doesn't have to move his family to Queensland. Wanted to stay in Sydney.
4 young kids, I think.
So he's been unreal for the South as well.
And
him and Benji together, it's odd how they just fit together so well. Unfortunately for everyone else. So I think they put 40 on Canberra.
Wow. Monks, could I get some odds here? I know the Raiders won't be favourites, but I don't think they're expecting a massive blowout, are they?
What do we want everyone's tips first?
Odds first, then tips.
I haven't actually done tips yet.
Yeah, okay. So odds are, South's our favourite. $1.50. Canberra's out to $2.60, so probably not the blowout that Sean's expecting. The line is only 5.5.
So you're taking that, obviously. You're taking
big
South,
time.
minus 5.5.
I'd take that line big time.
Completely abandoned the Canberra Raiders.
Yeah, straight off the wagon. Real personal hatred with Jared.
If you watched that game on the weekend, you'd be off the Raiders.
There's one game. They've been disappointing for a few. They got blitzed by Parramatta, but it's a long.
They've won one game this year.
The Raiders.
Yeah, they beat the Titans, and that's it.
No, I think they've won 3, haven't they?
I'm reading the roster wrong, the ladder wrong. Sorry.
I think they're 3 and 4.
They're 3 and 4.
Maybe they've won one of their last.
They've been on a slide. They've definitely been on a slide.
Yep, 3 and 4.
Yeah.
3 and 4. Sorry.
Right.
Disregard my outlandish statements.
You're fired up about Croker. I can understand you. Numbers don't make sense to you.
Nothing makes sense anymore.
Sure makes a really compelling argument. I'm going Raiders. Nothing personal there. Cold night in Canberra. Couple outs for the South. Still no Latrell. I think Raiders. Ricky gives them a fire up the arse. They'll come out and win a close one. Raiders 12-10.
I've gone South here. The way the Raiders have been playing, Souths are pretty good, but this could go either way. And no Latrell for South Sydney is a big out. I've just gone South, but hard to call.
Yeah, same Souths. Sounds like it's setting up to be a real close game.
Sean?
Yeah.
I said South.
South's big time.
South by a lot.
Yep.
Yeah. On the Esky curse right there.
True.
No, not quite a curse because Max
got the milk.
Yeah, Max got the milk.
True.
Moving into Friday night, 6 p.m, Melbourne and Cronulla to do battle at Amy Park. Melbourne coming off that 42-20 victory on Anzac Day against the Warriors. And Cronulla, one of the big upsets of last round, got beaten by the Dogs 18-12. We mentioned it last week, and the same thing this week, I suppose. The Dogs maybe not the most enticing game, but they've had consecutive home games with just 7,000 in the stands. That the Cronulla faithful, they're not crossing the bridge to get out of the Shire and go watch the boys at Jubilee, and maybe that lack of support was some kind of factor in their loss to the Canterbury Bulldogs. The big story from the Cronulla Sharks last week was Siosifa Talaki. He had
big high shot.
What would be called in the old days a great hit, I'd imagine. Monks, if you don't mind showing the boys.
True.
It's a shoulder charge. It's a genuine shoulder charge. I don't think it's high. Like, well, let's
It's,
watch this
it's
again.
borderline. I think it's on that neck
Could-
area,
yeah.
which they're anything above the shoulders, they're probably a bit worried about.
Well, the thing about this one is it didn't get called a penalty on the field.
Oh yeah.
So
Run us through what happened. I think it's probably the more interesting point of this.
Yeah, so Sifa, he comes out of the line and just throws his right shoulder into Matt Dory. He comes an absolute bell ringer. Dory gets up, plays the ball. Okay, there's a few extra tackles after this. They go close to completing the set, and then Dory's a bit wobbly. The doctors are running over to him. The bunker has seen that. They call it through, and then they retroactively give a penalty against Cronulla, and then he gets put on report and cops 4 weeks from the judiciary. I can see they're trying to stamp out.
They've gone hard after high shots. At the
Haven't
moment.
they? Haven't
Yeah,
they?
because we had more sin bins and send-offs this week as well. We've been following that. And this week was just the same as last week. They've definitely implemented what Volanders wants.
Sean, from that frame, you might be right that his shoulders, he's got him on the right cheek, right cheekbone. So I suppose it is high, and
They don't want that at all.
There's no attempt to wrap up. It is interesting, yeah. And all the commentators were up. Oh, great shot. Nothing got called, and then it is strange that they come back and retroactively put him on report. But yeah, they've made an example of him, and he'll be on the sidelines for 4 weeks.
4 weeks is huge. Yeah,
It's mother footy.
Yeah.
Well, Latrell got a month, so
Yeah,
true.
Yeah, they're trying to stamp it out. If we don't mind, Monks, could we get some odds here and the boys' tips subsequently?
I've gone Storm. I'm assuming you've gone Storm.
I'll be going Storm by 55 points.
It's probably more than I'd say, but I'll definitely take Melbourne 13 plus in this one. I'm sure the bookies tend to agree with us there.
Yep. Yeah, so bookies do have Storm favourites at $1.10. Cronulla's out at $7. Line is only 17.5.
Only.
I'll take two of those, please.
Yeah. Total match points is 43.5. So I don't think that's getting close.
Oh,
to what you're
I think
looking
they'll
at,
get close to that.
Macca.
I think
In terms of
I think
like,
total. They'll get close to total
Yeah.
points. I'm not sure
Yeah.
about margin though.
in terms
It
of
might be a little bit closer than 7.
yeah, in terms of the Storm scoring all of those points though.
True. They're scoring 50. Yeah,
I'll tell you what, 54 because we're making an even number.
yeah, I think Storm are going to win this.
All
easy.
Storm there. Not
Yep.
too much. You'd think it'd be a major upset if the Sharks could do them down there in Amy Park. 7:55 Friday night, Brisbane and the Gold Coast at Suncorp. This is a bit of a grudge game, really, with the Titans been pinching the Broncos' best players of late.
Yes.
That one of them, being David Fifita, he's been
unreal.
playing out of his skin. He's got 2 hat-tricks in the last 3 games. He's second on the try scorers list. He's making
beast.
defenders look like schoolboys at times, like the little tap and go, and just taking on 3 blokes on the line and busting over them.
Oh well, he's got that perfect line. They set him up to attack the halfbacks, and a lot of the halfbacks are smaller guys. So they're not going to win 1-on-1 against David Fifita. So.
People aren't winning 3-on-1 at the moment with him. He is like one of the strongest blokes getting around.
Runs angry.
in the NRL, and he
He'll
runs
push that
with it,
line
doesn't
back,
he?
and when he pushed that line back, it's probably too late by that point. So.
For the Broncos, you did mention Tom Dearden. He's going to join the Cowboys in 2022.
Oddly joining the Cowboys because they've just signed Townsend, and they're really the same player. They're both very similar size, very similar play styles, very similar halfbacks. So I'm not sure if they can play 6 and 7 together.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see what happens. But the interesting kind of point that comes out of this is they didn't offer him a deal. So his player agents come out and gone, Brisbane, talked about how he's going to be the halfback for the next 10 years, and they stuffed him around and never even offered him a deal. Sounds like, as I mentioned before, they've completely moved on and gone, hey, we're going to go after these premier leading talent at the positions from other clubs. But it's interesting because Sam Walker looks like he's just about to sign another 5-year extension for the Roosters. They let Sam Walker go down to Sydney because they're like, hey, Tom Dearden's going to be our future.
That stinks.
That stinks. That's a mistake.
Yeah.
But, they're, again, similar size blokes, similar size kind of credentials coming into the league. It's not a crapshoot, but you're flipping a coin here. I was like, which one are we back? And we're back in Tom Dearden. But they get nothing out of return of him. So Dearden, of course, has been dropped.
straight away.
Straight away.
Yep.
Walter's like, you're done with us, we're done with you. Milford's back in the side.
Played pretty good, I think, in his 2 weeks in the Q Cup, from what I heard.
Well, the first week, not so much. The last week, maybe a bit more. They probably want to see more out of him. I'm surprised Carmichael hasn't got really a run yet.
He's only just arrived.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks as well. So similar sort of time frame. So
Do you know much about this Tyson Gamble?
No. So that's, again, another young bloke they're bringing in here, the tryout, same mould of Tom Deaton. Could be the saviour for Brisbane, but sounds like they're over him. They're over, Brodie Croft and Tom Deaton. They're very much looking to buy. Sounds like they've got some money to move. They're trying to move Matt Lodge on as well. Reports they're happy to pay up to $400K of his current contract because they gave him a stupid deal last year, which everyone knew was dumb, but, Seabold is going to Seabold. Yep. So, they're chopping and changing the halfback. They're going to get pumped by the Eels. By the Titans. Sorry. They got pumped by the Eels. They're going to get pumped by the Titans this week. I don't think until they play the Doggies, they're looking at like another win. So
I think it'll be those two battling for the spoon this year. It seems like an absolute shit show at Red Hill at the moment.
Yes. Massive fall from the last, from the dynasty we know from the old. Titans here for mine as well.
Titans for mine.
Titans.
Yep, Titans as well. So their favourites are $1.28. Brisbane are out at $3.75. Line's 12, so 2 tries in it.
I'd probably take that.
I probably sometimes you just don't know with the Titans. They're a bit Warriors-esque.
Well, last time they played Brisbane, I think they won by 18 or 20. So they scored 34. They scored some late ones. I think that's not a bad bet.
Moving into Super Saturday, Penrith take on Manly 3 o'clock at Carrington Park up there in Bathurst. Penrith Panthers, they're 7-0 after their 24-6 win against Newcastle last week. Brian To'o, a lot of shout that he could be even up for an Origin spot.
He's been so dominant.
He's been so good. And people saying he's like a Matt Utai prototype. I was looking up the heights. Everyone's saying he's a short winger. He's 5'11". Like that's not too bad. Matty Utai was
just under 6 foot.
Yeah, it was 14 centimeters shorter.
With the right boots, he'd be 6 foot. So
yeah, exactly right. With his hair spiked up like Bart Simpson. So Addo Carr is surely a New South Wales winger. Does Tommy Turbo go on the wing with Teddy at 1?
Teddy's 1.
Yeah, so I don't know if To'o can bust into this back line just yet. Yes, Tommy Turbo's returning from that hamstring, but he's been lights out. We'll get to him in a second.
Yeah. So who are you playing at centre? Because I think Tommy maybe centre.
Maybe Tommy goes in the centre.
Yeah. You got Jack probably at the other centre.
I think they'll play Whiten as another centre.
And I'm not sure. And then Addo Carr's one wing, and so he'd get the other wing spot.
Yeah.
Tupou, Steve.
Yeah, Tupou, Ferguson. You'd probably take To'o over both of those guys at the moment.
Yeah, I think yes. Yeah, you'd take both. You'd take him over both of those two at the moment.
Big, good on him if he does break into the side. He's only about 21, I think. So
I think Penrith are going to have a good contingent in the New South Wales side. That is right.
Yeah,
they could have both half positions as well. So, yeah. Manly, interesting.
Resurgent.
They've gone from the shit Eagles to the Turbo Eagles.
Yeah, just in the space of a few weeks. 40-6, they belted the West Tigers by. Tommy Turbo, he has.
I can't believe how much better they are.
Shit hot, and he makes DCE
Two
so
different
much
teams,
better. Yeah, so much better.
Spines make teams. So.
Yeah, we were talking about them 3 weeks ago. That they were off to a horrendous start. They were one of the worst points differences through 4 games ever in the NRL, and have just completely flipped their season.
They scored 40 points 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, 3 and 4 now. They come up against a red-hot Penrith side. They're definitely trending in the right direction. Does anyone have the cojones to tip a Manly upset here or no?
No cojones here.
Yeah, I've just tipped Penrith, but I said it last week whether Penrith may be slowly flattening out their curve or not, and then a team may jump up and beat them. This one's in Bathurst, bit of neutral territory, maybe, but I just think Penrith as a squad, Penrith are too good for Manly. Manly are not one of those ones. I think in a team like hovering around the top 8, 8, 9, 10 kind of spots, maybe shocks Penrith. But Manly, I don't think you're in that spot at this point.
Okay, all right.
So I've gone Penrith.
I've gone Penrith too, but Manly, the way they've been playing,
the Turbo Eagles is so much better. Better than without him. It's really impressive.
Odds, please, James, in a tip.
Yep. Manly has been playing really well. They've definitely been putting up heaps of points, but I'm going to go Penrith. Probably closer game than the matchup last time, or definitely a close game their matchup last time. So the odds are Penrith are favourites $1.18. Manly's out at $5. Line is 14.5. And total points is 42.5.
Okay. Yeah,
There might be some points in this game.
Yeah, and I'm not confident to take Penrith with the line in this one. I do think they probably get the win, but I think this might be a little bit closer than people were expecting.
Yeah.
Dogs and Parramatta, 5:30 Saturday night, Stadium Australia. The Bulldogs, they got off the donut. Thank God for
Huge upset against
for the Canterbury Bulldogs. Faithful. It was a crazy finish as well. Braden Trindle, he got tackled like a metre out. It was so close for it to go to a kick away from Golden Point. It's the Dogs' first win since round 19 last year. They've been shut out 4 times in that span. It's been a woeful time for the Bulldogs fans.
Did anyone pick the Dogs last week?
No one liked them.
I think we said that this could be the upset game with them changing coaches and all the other stuff that's going on. That Sharks were ripe for a game where they just would stink.
Yeah.
And then someone would pick them off.
A lot going, on behind the scenes there at Cronulla. Dallin Watine Lesniak, he's in hospital with a drip, infected knee. You never like to see those infections once stuff gets internal. Yeah, so hoping he...
Is it staff or...
It might be. I couldn't really quite follow it up, but hopefully he's getting the best care and getting on top of that.
Sucks if you get that. That's bad.
Yeah. You hear a lot about fighters and NFL guys getting it.
It's huge in the UFC. Not in the US, sorry, with wrestling and all the other stuff.
So hopefully they get him on the antibiotics and clear that all up shortly. Para, they're looking really, really good. 6-1, they're second on the table. Brent Naden, he signs with the Dogs.
Get pinched.
Naden.
Yeah, shout out to Naden.
Sherman.
He hasn't been playing in the starting squad for Penrith. He was one of the form centres that gets to end last year. Of course, had his sniffing issues during the off season, of course, and after the grand final. So he said he's month out with the new rules, so he's free. He's been playing in the lower grades and been playing really well by the sounds of it. Interesting enough, because Trent Barrett was assistant coach at Penrith. Another raid on the Penrith stocks, taking a player from them. I think there's a little bit of
just buying second-hand players from...
like the gentleman's kind of handshake that, hey, you don't pinch players from the club you were just coaching at. Trent Barrett's gave him the big middle finger to that and said, fuck you, Cleary, I'm taking me where I want. I think Doggies... if it was anyone else, the Doggies maybe talk about that, but the Doggies suck, so they need players.
They need all the help they can get.
So, another good signing for them. Brett Naden, add that with Kotrick and Addo Carr coming
this year.
They're putting together a good looking back line there.
Yep.
Or Matt Burton as well. Like he's probably one of the form centres at the moment.
Indeed,
playing in Naden's spot.
Yep.
Could probably play 6 for Bulldogs next year, but they've bought well. I really like what they're doing.
Yep.
They're going to stink this year and fight out with the wooden spoon.
I was going to say, too bad it's not next year. Para win this by a lot, I reckon.
Para by a lot.
Para doing really well this year. I think they continue that run.
Yep. So the odds are Para are down to $1.10. Bulldogs are out at $7.
Line?
8.5.
20.
Ooh, it's a big line.
Yeah, it's big. It's Para playing lights out. I don't see them losing that one. Newcastle and Sydney Roosters, 7:35 Saturday night at McDonald Jones Stadium. Newcastle coming off a disappointing 24-6 loss at the hands of those Penrith Panthers we were just talking about.
They started right in this game and then Penrith just too classy.
Indeed. The Roosters dismantled my Dragons. 3 of us tipped them on Anzac Day. Put a big old on the Esky curse on them. Sam Walker, he's set to receive a 5-year contract. What have you heard about this? Is there
as mentioned,
any figures been released?
No, I don't think any figures. I think he's only on like $300K a year or something at the moment. Like it's not
only as an 18-year-old.
Yeah, or even slightly less than that. But the 5-year extension is the first kind of years are in that kind of range, and then that bumps up as it goes on. So he's set to get paid and be the Roosters halfback of the future.
How good is he? He can do both things. Like he can. Well, he's got the footwork, the silky footwork. You saw him put 2 steps on where he put Nat Butcher on through.
I think what's even more impressive is Teddy got knocked out in this game. He was the captain, and he stepped straight in, took control of the team, ran him around the park, and dismantled a red hot Dragons team at the point as well. shows like, he's got really good futures. And then, and of course, the Broncos board will be kicking themselves up, let him walk away to the Roosters.
I can't remember this much hype around an 18-year-old since Benji Marshall.
Yeah, but I'd also say, Sammy Walker's walked into the Roosters system.
Yeah.
That backlog, that forward pack, like, you can walk in a better situation. Yeah. It's not like he's joined Canterbury, as an example.
Well, hopefully that forward pack looks after him, the likes of Takiaho and Crichton and that, because Adam O'Brien, the Newcastle coach, said he can expect some traffic this week. He still is quite slight. He does have that 18-year-old body.
Yeah, grown into his body.
Yeah. So hopefully his big forwards can get around and help him in defence. What is they've been following this for probably 10 days now. TJ Perenara, he's the
I think they've been talking about this for about a month.
Scrum half for the All Blacks. He's playing Japanese rugby at the moment. He's actually, if they make the finals of that comp, that goes till May 23. That's nearly a month away, but heavily rumoured that the Roosters are chasing him to play hooker. Mm-hmm. Is that a viable option to get an excellent, scrum half from rugby? Admittedly, I don't watch that much rugby, but I figure you're not making 50 plus tackles a game as a scrum half. Is he going to be able to fit in and play a really difficult position?
I think you hit the nail on the head on the one thing he may not be able to do is the amount of tackling that's required of the position, because he's got the athletic ability, the ball playing ability. Yeah, he's a scrum half for the All Blacks, so he's up there as an athlete. And the Roosters, of course, they're really struggling for hooker stocks at the moment with a lot of guys injured and young players filling in those positions.
Yeah, well, we obviously spoke about the retirement of Jake Friend a few weeks ago. Sam Verrills and Marshke, they're sort of going in and out as the 9. And
we talk about the youth. We just talked about the youth in the halves as well. So, though not an NRL player, is a veteran that's played at the pinnacle of his sport, played in the World Cup. Like, he's a talent. Roosters get better again.
Very interesting to see if this happens, but I've got serious questions about throwing him big money to play.
Well, I don't think it's huge money, which is, again, another bloody Roosters sneaky deal where they pay him peanuts just to slide in there, and he'll be paid fuck all, and he'll come in and absolutely dominate, and then we'll be like, how the fuck did the Roosters pull this off again?
It'll be interesting to see what happens. Anyways, enough speculation there.
Roosters.
Yeah, Chooksy.
Yep. Monk's odds and tip, Roosters, if you don't mind.
So odds are Roosters are favourite $1.47. Knights are at $2.70. Line is 6.
Yeah, really about that. I reckon it's a low key close game.
You low key close game?
Yeah.
I'm taking Roosters with that line. It's like when Kiri went down, I was like, oh man, like maybe they slide. Sammy Walker's been phenomenal. The veteran presence of the other guys around that club, I think they win this reasonably comfortably.
Yeah, it really depends on how Ponga's back's feeling and how much he's going to have to carry him in this game.
Yeah, indeed.
True.
So 4 Roosters in that one. Gets us through to Sunday. The New Zealand Warriors take on the North Queensland Cowboys, 2 p.m. Sunday, Central Coast Stadium. Warriors disappointing last week. Cowboys, they're a lot like Manly. They're trending in the right direction. 3 on the trot after starting 0-4, and they've been winning without Taumalolo. So
is he back this week? Because they've ruled he said he's back for the previous 2 weeks and ruled him out for both, having a bit of setbacks and injuries.
I imagine that he's in the 21 that they name, whether or not he does actually end up playing.
Yep,
time will tell. He's named at lock. So
he's been named in the last 2 years. So hopefully,
but I don't think had he been named in the starting side. Oh, okay,
both instances was pulled out late.
Something funny's going on there.
Yeah, well, it was hands, so I don't know what's up. Yeah. Anyway, if you follow the Warriors form guide, they should win this game.
Yeah, win-loss kind of thing for the Warriors.
So I've picked the Warriors purely on that basis.
Yep.
It is Central Coast, which is technically their home ground.
Play a few there, Well, actually, all of them there at the moment.
Yeah.
I've got the Warriors here, but wouldn't be surprised if the Cowboys can improve.
I think this will be a close game. This should be a good game of footy.
Yeah, Cowboys coming off momentum with that second half, but I think, that was... Oh, am I changing? Nah, Warriors hold on to this one. 18-16.
Complete the curse, Max?
Nah, I've gone Cowboys.
Yeah, I like that.
Making moves. Yeah, this is a close game.
Yeah, this is coin toss, this one. This is a good one.
Yeah, so Warriors are favourites, $1.60. Cowboys are out at $2.35 at the moment. Line is 4, so very close game.
I think that'll be a close one.
Yep. Sunday afternoon, St George Dragons, West Tigers, 4:05 at Wynn Stadium. Did mention the Dragons coming off that disappointing Anzac Day loss, 34-10 to the Chooks. Anthony Griffin, he moved the chess pieces around all around the shop. They moved Jack Bird to halfback.
Halfback?
Yeah, he played halfback. Clune went to the bench. Their new signing, Billy Burns, went into the edge. And then Josh Kerr went to the bench. Didn't really seem to work. They actually, their first half hour was quite good in this game. It was neck and neck and low scoring and intense. And then the Chooks were just way too good in the second half. The big news here out of the Dragons camp, Michaele Ravalawa, he had a shoulder charge on Josh Morris.
Both wingers.
Yeah, it was quite silly, really. There was no arm in this whatsoever.
Clear shoulder charge. Get his a couple of weeks.
Yeah, he gets 2 weeks. He checked on him straight away. Remember we were talking a few weeks ago about how he sort of ran over Kurt Mann and kind of was taunting him a little bit. Yeah. So
learned his lesson.
Probably learned there.
Change your heart.
Yeah, he misses 2 weeks. He's a big out. He's really coming along as one of the upper sort of. Maybe, I'd call him top 10 wingers in the league at the moment. Jordan Pereira, who is not a top 10 winger, I would say. He is facing judiciary for a high shot on Teddy.
He'll probably get.
Yeah, he has got 3 weeks for that one. Teddy, he runs so low and like
he's not low. He's changed direction. So as he dips down to make a step around a box, of course he's dipping down and squatting.
Yeah,
gets an awkward spot.
And he kind of slips in this, but it was a big swinging arm.
Yeah, of course.
It got him.
You throw the arm out trying to get him, and then you smack him on the chops. Yeah.
And Teddy missed the rest of the game. So again, did
he get some in this?
Yeah, he went. Yeah, he got some in.
I think that medical subbed him off for this as well.
Yep. Ben Hunt comes back for the Dragons here. He'll slot straight back into 7. He missed 4 weeks with that fractured fibula, in which he played out the game actually with a broken leg. West Tigers, they're looking pretty ordinary at the moment. They were pumped by the DCA Tommy Turbo show last week. Robbie Farah, they reckon he might come back as a trainer. Had that very public falling out with the Tigers.
Well, him and Bezzy, they both fell out with the club. They didn't want either of them back.
And there's calls from Madge Maguire as well that they've got to pay him out if they were to sack him.
Stiff.
Well, there's also talk that Cleary kind of left this mess, and Maguire's kind of walked into it, and he's still recovering from.
It's not. I think he's a good coach. Well, you could see what he did at South Sydney there, Madge Maguire. I think a lot of it comes down to management. At NRL 360, they were talking about it, and they were showing a list of like all guys that are West Tigers juniors all were at the club, and it was like Teddy, Pappenhausen, Addo Carr, Mitch Moses, Corey Thompson.
Yeah, can't retain all this good young talent.
None of them want to go out and train in the West, so they just can't.
But a lot of them are from Western Sydney. Well,
that's the thing. You grow up Western Sydney, you want to move on to the beaches.
Shout out to our Western Sydney listeners in that one. It's the same old West Tigers. Really, they've been pretty ordinary for quite a number of years. I've gone the Dragons here, and I feel like that's more educated than with my heart.
Have they been competitive since they won the comp?
The Dragons?
No, Titans. No, both. Tigers, sorry.
So when did they win, 05?
Yeah, I don't think they've been competitive since then.
There have been a couple of nights. There was a few nights. That was an ongoing joke.
They've made the 8s a few times. Yeah, they've been competitive, yes. They haven't made a grand final since 2015.
Oh, definitely, yeah. 2005, yeah.
Sorry, 2005. Thanks for the correction.
15 was Dragons, right? No,
2010.
2010. Oh, we're fucking up all kinds of things. Anyway, who are we picking in this? Gone Dragons. We'll give them a curse again.
Dragons.
Yep. Yeah, Dragons. I think West are another team I get wrong. Every time I pick them, they lose.
You tipped them to beat Manly last week.
Yeah, not good.
So Dragons are favourites.
Favourites.
Favourites at $1.28. Tigers are out at 3.75. Line is 10. Total match points, if we look at that, is 43.5.
10 is, yeah. Oh, yeah. Tigers suck.
That wraps up our NRL preview and news.
Yes. So then we'll move in, of course, to the AFL. And do you want to kick off with this, Peppy?
Just before we move into the AFL, going
AFL.
back.
Did I say AFL? I fucked that up. AFL.
No, I think you said AFL. Cool. I fucked it up. Going back across to the NFL.
There we go.
Antonio Brown has re-signed with the Bucks on a
here we go. Got him back.
Dear, oh dear.
Yeah. They're
What is
back.
this? 1 year deal worth up to $6.5 million. There you go.
That's not
Yeah.
bad for AB.
God, run it straight back, eh?
Yeah.
They're going to be so hard to beat.
They're a good team. Very good team.
there's lots of interesting matchups this week.
In the AFL, so we're back to the AFL.
In the AFL.
But Pepe has
before
to...
further ado, yes.
What was your crime?
I
Anthony
said
Pazzulla?
that Carlton Blues would beat your Brisbane Lions. They were very competitive.
Yes. They were competitive until about the end of the third quarter.
It's just classic Carlton. Just can't finish that in that fourth quarter. But it actually was quite a good game, and kudos to Brisbane. They're being able to slowly turn their season around after a lackluster start. Happy to scull this one on the Esky. Carlton 2-4 now. It's just same old Carlton, but long season. No reason why they can't be there or thereabouts later. Up you blue baggers.
There you go. While Peps sucks down that delicious Carlton Dry, shout out any sponsors who want to jump on the Esky.
Do you want to talk? Is this the match of the round?
Oh, it definitely is match of the round. Richmond versus the Dogs out at the MCG Friday night footy. Obviously, this was one of those floating schedule games that got brought forward, obviously, with the Dogs' form, Richmond being the powerhouse that they are. Both teams coming off big games from last weekend. The Dogs, as we spoke about, were in Canberra at the Legend Factory last week at Marnick Oval. This was another game that was really, really quite tight. Obviously, both teams have a storied rivalry over the last sort of ever since GWS have come into the comp. Really tight scrap for the first sort of 3 quarters, and then casual 9 goals for the Dogs in the last quarter. They absolutely blew it out. It was party time. We touched on poor Lin Jong, his hammy in the first injury, but the fucking worst thing that happened was about 10 minutes left in the game. Josh Dunkley goes for a spoil. They've won the game, and he's popped the shoulder. Absolutely.
And this is a
fucked it
bad
up.
dislocation. We talked about dislocation before. This is a bad one, which needs surgery.
Really bad surgery. He had his Rico today. He's going to miss
Hopefully good surgery.
up to 4 months. Yeah. Poor bloke. So full reconstruction for Josh Dunkley. He was in all Australian form. He was an absolute lock. I mean, not just get his hands on the ball. He's had the most smothers through 6 games in the history of footy. So
really?
Yeah. So stats like that. He actually sneaks forward, kicks a goal.
Yeah.
His tacklings all time. We talk about the Bulldogs running 7 deep in that midfield. He's a big part of
the
that.
ability to win clearances on top of averaging 30 a game. Yeah, he'll be missed. I suppose the strength and the silver lining of the Dogs is their midfield depth.
They've got some talent there.
If there is one spot you could take away from, he's probably there. It was bloody injuries galore over
Tip
the
Johnny
weekend.
English.
Young Johnny English.
Sean's mate, Johnny English.
Sean's boy. Another one very late in the game. Gets an Aaron Norton knee to the side of the head.
This was sickening. It was
UFC 261 was a couple of days later. This would have fit in very nicely.
Poor
there.
bloke. Aaron Norton just flying at the ball as he does. And I think it's his left knee, which gets Tim English's
On the chin.
right chin
On the button.
/ cheek.
On the
Yeah,
button.
it was just a clean knockout essentially. The poor bloke, he's been really
He was good.
We've
He was
been talking about him as well. He's really coming along to sort of move into that elite sort of chat as a ruckman and the ability to go forward and kick a few sausage rolls there. They cleared his jaw. It's not broken. He's going to miss this week with concussion. And then they're hoping maybe available next week.
The following week. And he won't be the best player unavailable with concussion. We'll get into that in a second.
Big time.
Because the biggest player missing with concussion will be Dusty Martin. Obviously, Tigers coming off that loss to the also undefeated D's. Anzac Eve. A little bit disappointing. I only saw there was 52,000 there. That game's brought in 80,000 before. So D's fans, your team's undefeated. Richmond, get your fans down there as well. Dusty concussed in the third term, but was pretty uninfluential to that point. The D's did a really good spot of stymieing his influence, and that was Tigers kicked the first goal, but really Demons just wrestled it away from him. Too skillful, too evenly matched across the ground. I think every position on the ground they have it best in the comp. Just that even spread. They are red hot, the Demons. We'll get into them later. Richmond though, some people are out there saying Richmond is struggling. They've reached the top now. They're a bit tired. I think Richmond get a bit of leeway, especially early on the season with these injuries. Also, Kane Lambert, who's done a calf, that can be a bit of a longer one than they think. They're not 100% sure on how long that is. Dylan Grimes, obviously with the foot, also not in there. They just sort of looked like they were outmatched out there, and Tom Lynch has come under a bit of fire. He hasn't really been having much of an influence for the big centre half forward.
Yeah, I've got him in fantasy and putting up dirt numbers, Paul.
Yeah,
and it was really good in the last few years. Really, really good signing to complement Jack Rewell.
100%, absolutely. And you think with the game opening up, bit of free flowing footy, someone like Tom Lynch would really take the game on. But
if your mids aren't winning the ball, there's only so much you can do.
Exactly right. And I don't want to toot my own horn, but we did sort of say at the start of the year, if Dusty's not performing, where are the rest of the Tigers? And obviously Presti are injured. Trent Cotchin's just sort of been there and abouts. Jaded Short's been good down back. Kane Lambert has had a good season. Obviously he's missing now. That depth's really going to be tested up against the undefeated Doggies, who have their own injury concerns. But
so you look for a big game from Bolton?
From Bond. Or Shy Bolton, yeah. Well, he's coming off. I look for a big game from Bond every week. Shy Bolton, he's probably been the Tigers' best this year. Not named Dusty Martin. He's still off contract. That's sort of been the big news. That's been the big news. And sort of been one of those ones that's going to be put off till the end of the year. Whenever you hear that, you sort of think, well, that sounds like movement to me. So I think Freo are going to come pretty hard. A couple other Melbourne teams are going to come hard. So it will be interesting to see how that plays out. But yeah, he's been scintillating. Friday night footy, I've obviously got the Dogs here winning this one. I think also Richmond, far too many injuries.
I've backed Doggies.
I've gone Dogs here.
Yep. I've gone Dogs as well.
All right, so they're going to lose by 40 now.
Go Dogs, yeah.
Could be on the Esky curve.
Could
we get
be.
the odds? The bookies tend to agree with us.
Yeah. So favourite Dogs are favourites $1.51. Richmond out at $2.58. Probably going to be a close game at 11.5 for the line.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah,
nice. Yeah, obviously, as the fucking resident Dogs, Nuffy, massive game for them to match where, obviously not Tigers at full strength, but be really good to see how they go. Dogs are looking to sort of, there's an undefeated matchup in the distance with the D's, and shout out Katie. But who?
Good in the household at the moment.
We're very happy at the moment. Yeah, we're both
6-0. Yeah.
First, of all 6-0 teams, I think it's 80% play in the grand final. So, one of us will be pretty happy at least.
For Richmond, on the other hand, after this matchup against the Western Bulldogs, they play Geelong, who we'll get to in a second, GWS, and Brisbane at the Gabba. So they may only win one of those games.
That Lions Richmond game could be really telling for both clubs.
Yeah. So we could potentially be looking at a Richmond side that might not be top four.
Oh God, that's after those three games might have been the 8, and really needing to start stringing some wins together. So I mean they've been tested. Like I've said, that they need a couple bit of leeway. You got to cop Richmond a little bit of slack. They've built the points in recent years, just quietly.
But maybe the start of a decline of a dynasty.
Well, I'd love to see it.
Shout.
Yeah, and shout out to James Lay if you're listening, Big Jim. He is a Richmond faithful, but I'm sick of them winning, and I wouldn't.
Wasn't it Tim Lay?
Yeah, aka Jim, aka Tim. Shout out to you, brother. Hope you're keeping well down there in Melbourne, but I can't see the Tigers winning this one.
Go Dogs.
And they're really looking a bit more
Dogs
fickle week in and week out.
So Collingwood, Gold Coast?
Yeah, getting into the Saturday games. The Pies are 1-5. Who would have thunk that a few weeks ago?
They've been banged up as well.
They are a little bit hurt. We did mention DeGoey and Jeremy Howe missing from this one. 24-point loss on Anzac Day to the Bombers. 78,000 at the G. How about this? Australia, best country in the world. That is the biggest crowd in any sporting event in the whole COVID era.
Well, any gathering of people, I think. Since COVID lockdown. So fuck yeah, awesome that it was at the footy and that, Anzac Day, everyone was able to pay their respects and get down at the footy. But getting into the footy was a really good game, and we talked about it. It just seems to always be a close game. But again, it was one of those
Matt
ones.
was on the draw for our punters club, but it was until about 10 minutes out. You're like, this could happen.
We were getting a little bit excited up in Cairns. Shout out Gilligan's for hosting us for the weekend. But Essendon far too classy in the end, and really ran over the top of the Pies. And 1-5 is there's no two ways about it. They are reeling, and there's all the off-field stuff with Buckley. It's all pressure cooker, and like I've said in the past, Collingwood are a punching bag. If they're going bad, they're a free hit, and journos go hard, and the media go hard, public go hard, because the bigger the club, the bigger the fall, the bigger.
They're a premier franchise.
Exactly.
The biggest sporting club in Australia. In terms of membership,
100%. So I mean, where do they sort of look to from here? Are they rebuilding? Are they sort of still contending? That's sort of the big question from Pies fans. They don't know. They don't know where they are. They're playing the kids. They've got some guys injured. They've got the Nick Dacos next year that everyone's saying is the number 1 pick. Obviously, father of Pete Dacos. So
Son.
did I say father?
Father,
yeah. Why not? Give him a
He's going to be
gift.
his daddy soon when he starts playing lights out footy.
The way he's been tracking, he's playing like an old man. So
They need to get a win against Gold Coast if they want to start restarting this season.
One bright spark I wouldn't mind mentioning was Darcy Cameron. He probably had the best game of his short career. He had 22 disposals, 10 marks, 3 goals. A big, tall, leading presence. They dropped Mason Cox. He wasn't hurt, was he?
Just dropped. Just in the twos,
him. To go out, he needs to step up big time. And continue that for them to have a chance of winning this game and in the weeks to come.
Absolutely. Gold Coast had that upset win against the Swans. I wonder if anyone tipped that last week.
Yeah, down the end there.
Tipped Lord McGrath over here. Absolutely nailed that one.
Actually, in both
I'm doing not too bad on the Esky tipping. Follow us on ESPN. Awesome response. And we sort of said, it's one that they probably could win and the one they needed to win. Stewie Dew at the helm. You can't use the excuse we're young anymore. So they really got together. Guys like Noah Anderson, Matt Rowe's sort of mate. That's how he gets introduced. But no way, he's a gun footier in his own right. Took Miller, one of the more underrated players. Again, shout out Tim Lay, who loves Took. Took's his favourite player. If the season ended now, he'd probably have a bench spot in the All-Australian team. His numbers are insane. His centre bounce work, his tackling, his leadership. He's that big body that helps those younger kids around the park. So Gold Coast are doing some impressive things. They're very much like their rugby league counterpart, and then one week they'll be, show some really good things, and the next week you'll say, what is this team doing? So very close matchup, this one. It being at the MCG, I'd normally lean Collingwood, but they lost to GWS at the G earlier this year. Oh, they're desperate for a win. Suns. I'm going Suns. I think they're going to jump on and really pile on this pressure that is Collingwood, and then that Collingwood, where do they go from? They just need to say, okay, we're just going to play some kids this year and look at the future.
I've picked Collingwood in this with no confidence, of course, but I'll also say if they don't win this game, season done. Line through them.
Yeah, from 1 and 6, I don't think you beat that.
Can't happen.
So it is must win for the Pies. I've tipped them just because it's at the G, and we have spoken about Gold Coast inconsistencies, but there's no reason why the Suns can't win this game.
I've backed the Suns.
Ooh,
First Desmond. Big guy here.
Odds, please, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so Collingwood are favourites, $1.50, probably because it is in the G. Gold Coast are out at $2.60. Line is 11.5, so probably another close one. 2 goals there, this is one of those ones Gold Coast then can say, hey, we're at 3 and 4. Don't think our season's done now. We don't have to hang our heads after the first month that they normally do. They can actually say, let's have something to play for. So I think having that, Suns for mine, and I think it will be a close game.
2:10 Saturday at the Adelaide Oval. Adelaide take on GWS. The Crows had a heartbreaking 3-point loss last week to
they
the
got
Hawks
so
in
far in
Tassie.
front.
Yeah, I think they were up 32 points at one stage. The shining light for them, though, number 2 pick, Riley Thilthorpe. He played his first game. He kicks 5 in his AFL debut. I think he had 1 in the first half and then booted 4 in the second half.
Young West Adelaide kid, shout out Steve-O, or the West Adelaide boys. I know you're big fans. Bloods, go Bloods, yeah.
And the Crowies, they kicked 15 goals straight before they kicked it behind. That's an AFL VFL record. So
pretty good. Yeah. I was just flicking over the score. I was thinking, they were 16-3 or something. Good kicking's good footy.
15 straight. So 130-year-old record there. Unfortunately, they didn't win. So
they couldn't kick straight in the second half. So.
And a big talking story of this was the medical sub, Tom Lynch.
This was so funny.
They needed him to get out there and replace Will Hamill. Apparently, he wasn't even strapped.
Well, apparently he wasn't even going to play. Like they weren't. He was just an extra number they had there. He wasn't healthy enough really.
Yeah,
like, hey, we're just going to rest him for this week and hopefully he'll play next week. We won't need him. And then they need a medical something. It was like it's poor management.
I
Honestly.
have no idea how someone's really dropped the ball. They've come out during the week and said, no, it's all part of the plan. But the guy had to put his boots on. He had to do a stretch. He's got
He was taking painkillers before so he could get out there.
So someone's dropped the ball somewhere along the line.
And they lose from that. Like he got absolutely dominated. So that really threw their side into a heat.
GWS, they're coming off that loss to the Hot Dogs at Manuka Oval. Toby Green, you love to hate him, but he's
Macca's favourite mate.
Pretty good at footy. He kicked 4. Shout out to young Lockie Ash. He had 35 disposals, 15 marks. He's played about 20 odd AFL games. I think this was the breakout game for him. So it'd be interesting to follow him and see how he goes. Pretty hard one to pick, really.
I've backed Adelaide just because it's in Adelaide.
I've done the same, but there's no reason why GWS can't win this. But Adelaide, I've gone them with not much confidence.
I think I've picked the last 3 times I've picked Adelaide, they've lost. So
after that hot start, they have had that little slide.
And that's going to happen with young teams. They're gonna be fluctuating with their form. And I've got the Giants here again. They're just showing a little bit more each game, and those older players like Josh Kelly. Are stepping up. Toby Green, he is leading from the front and doing a great job.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. I have backed the Crows. They are favourites $1.85, but only just with GWS at $2.
Coin flip, pretty much.
Yeah. Coin flip, yep. And the line reflects that 1.5.
Yeah.
Right there and then.
Yeah.
I would not be putting any money on this game myself.
No. Don't go near it.
St Kilda Hawthorn 4:35 Marvel Stadium. Both teams 2 and 4 here. The Saints, they're coming off a 54-point loss to Port. They had that shock win a few weeks ago against West Coast, but they've been belted since then. Yeah. Paddy Ryder set to make his return.
Yep.
That is
big, I was just about to ask you, are they getting healthy?
He helps a lot, but they've just been nothing short of shit. If I'm like we said, that West Coast win was insane. Everyone thought, here we go. This is the team that won a final last year. Other than that, they just don't look interested. They've got the injuries hurt. I understand that.
It's Richmond and Port as well that they've been spanked by. But
and a few banged up guys. Even Brad Hill's been banged up. But Paddy Ryder will help. They're the worst centre clearance team in the comp. They're the worst clearance team in the comp. So now having Paddy Ryder in there, 2 strong ruckmen will definitely help. Oh God. I'm not going to watch this game at all, hey? I'll be watching the highlights for this.
I've backed St Kilda.
We talked about the Hawks just then being the Crows. The young Jacob Kajitsky, obviously cousin of former Saint Justin, he kicked 5 as well. Him and Riley Thilthorpe, maybe looking to the future, going head-to-head. Kajitsky won the Rising Star ahead of him. I think maybe the win got to give him the nod.
He was picked as a back.
So all his junior career. So I think that was something they were always really lacking, was a big key forward ever since sort of the Ruffy Franklin days. Now they've got him, guy like Mitch Lewis. Maybe there is something there they can build around. Their midfield is still quite good. But there are little pieces there for Hawthorn. They are staying close in games. They're keeping them a scrap, and then little touches of class are sort of shining through. Your boy there, CJ Giarth there, Peps. You've become a big fan, not just on the footy field.
Oh yeah, he posted on his Insta. Monks is picking it up here. Look at the rig on that bloke. He is absolutely shredded. You've got former Brownlow medalist there, Tom Mitchell, to his right, looking like an absolute slob compared to that rig. Of course, abs don't necessarily translate into disposals, but he's proving himself very capable. He's averaging 26 touches. His intercept marking and his pace off halfback. There was a passage of play in this game where he got the footy, burn about 2 guys to get the 1-2 back, and then put a dart into the forward line and hit Kashitsky on the tit. There's some chat around that he might even be pushing for All Australians. So
it's not the worst chat. Yeah, he's so exciting, so exciting to watch. And that's for a team like Hawthorn who do make it scrappy. When you've got someone like that, you become a cult hero very quickly.
Yep.
So as I said, I've picked St Kilda.
I've gone
with absolutely no confidence.
I'm the same. I've gone Hawthorn's kind of flip of a coin. Yeah, St Kilda have been bad on the back of those 2 big losses, but this could go either way for mine.
Yeah, I'll go Hawthorn, but again, no confidence whatsoever.
Give us some odds and you tip, Max.
Yeah, I have gone St Kilda.
Desmond.
Yeah, they are favourites $1.63. Hawthorn's out at $2.28. Line is 7.5. So yeah,
a lot of that would be on Ryder. That Ryder would be worth a goal, I reckon, for this Saints team. Just the presence and the mentality of, okay, now we get one of our players back, because they are just lost at the moment.
Yep. So coming out of a few maybe borderline lackluster games on
the second
Saturday,
best game in this round.
a real blockbuster between the Brisbane Lions and Port Adelaide. power, 725 at the Gabba. The Lions have sort of got their season back on track, 3-3 after their 18-point win against the Blues. However, it came at a massive cost with reigning Brownlow medalist Lachie Neale undergoing ankle surgery this week. I don't know if you guys saw it. It looked pretty nasty, but he just kept playing, and he was playing through pain.
Yeah,
and
they take the shit out of it. They probably gave him some painkillers.
He had 24 posies.
What a beast. What a gun.
And that's just testament to how tough that man is.
Is it the old favourite Sysmosis?
I don't know if it was a syndesmosis. So
I didn't hear anything, and they love to say it what it is. So I think it was just a straight cut few ligaments and stuff.
Yeah.
To go under the knife, obviously pretty serious. But
six to 8 weeks they're looking at. That's a big loss for
It's a big loss, but I also don't think it's too bad for Lachie Neale because he'd been...
Yeah, he's back.
He's been banged up. He'd been playing through a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
Like, this would be good for him. Probably maybe not the Lions as much, but it'd be good for him. The back end of the season. Refresh, come back. Of course, he's got to do his rehab, but he'll get back.
He'll be sweet for the back end of the season and finals.
Lions and Hugh McLaughlin have been excellent in the midfield and kind of filling in for Lachie Neale a little bit too.
You want to talk about All-Australian, he's fucking walk-up Hugh McLaughlin. He's such a jet.
Yeah, so they've been playing excellent. So yes, they can cover him. I've picked the Lions in this because it's at the Gabba, but I'm also, that's a huge out. It is Port Adelaide. Like, this will be a really, really good game. These guys need to step up, and it'd be hard. Yeah, I'm hard pressed to see them winning this, but I've just stuck strong here and gone.
Home field advantage is massive. TJ Berry, what happened with the?
I'm not sure. I've put it here as a note. I maybe think he's the first double medical sub.
Yeah, I'd imagine
of course, he got medical subbed in last week, and then he got medicals. Yeah, for his brother. But he got medical sub back into this game as well. I'm not sure who for, because I think Mitch played out the whole game, and he if you've seen his eye was fucked up.
Bad. Mitch Robinson, that is, copped a real nasty shiner, and they had the staples. They're putting the
all over his face. Poor bastard.
Yeah. But he's a tough bloody bastard, so I think he'll be all right.
But either way, TJ got subbed in, and he's been playing pretty well in his minutes available. Of course, he's not, he's not up there for anything to write home massively. But for a young bloke coming in and being thrown in there, he's been able to at least provide a little bit extra for them and fill in as need be. So hopefully he can continue to grow as his career keeps going on and improve, and then show up his older brother.
On the other side of the sheds.
Port gonna Port.
Yeah, Port are looking good, 5-1. They've only had that loss to West Coast out in the West. They made light work of the Saints last week. Ollie Wines, Carl Amon, Dan Houston all had 30+. Horatio Fantasia proving to be a really good signing. Him and Steve Motlop had 3 sausage rolls each. Really interesting game here, boys.
I think I'll be in the minority here.
You've gone Brisbane. I've gone Port, but Brisbane at the Gabba, you never know.
This should be a close game, hopefully.
Yeah, I'll go Port as well. I think so. I think Ken Hinkley needs a bit more credit. I think he was one when Port weren't, going as well, copped a lot of slack, but players just improve under him. You got guys like Carl Amon and Dan Houston, who Pep's just referenced, just sort of scrappy small defenders who have, been thrown into the midfield and really, really come on. And they've got a lot of young players. They've got their veterans. They've got big, smalls, very good mix at Port. Yeah, they're definitely one of the best 2 or 3 teams in the competition. I think they win this, and I actually don't think this is going to be very close at all. I think Port flex the muscles here.
They could be. They definitely.
No, sorry, sure, not.
No. I can definitely see. I can see your perspective.
Just the matchup, the lack of Neale. I think Port get on top and they roll.
So I've gone Port as well. They are favourites at $1.72.
Should be
not quite the blowout that you think, Macca. The line is 4.5.
Really? Well, I'm taking that. I'm taking 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah,
nice. Interesting.
Side note, Brisbane has covered the line in each of its last 5 matches against Port.
Ooh, bonus bets here over from the Monks. That's why he's the best. They don't cover 4 points.
No, I can't see that happening, but we've been wrong plenty of times here on the Esky. The co-current game, Sydney and Geelong Cats, 7:25 at the SCG. 4-2 Swans. They were very disappointing last week, losing to the Suns by 40 points. As we mentioned, they'd never lost at Metricon before that, so they have to put one in the L column up there. Josh Kennedy, 32, I think he's close to 33. He had 42 posies. The bright spark there for the Swans. Geelong, they're 4-2. They demolished the West Coast Eagles
was a shit
by
bump.
97 points. Did we all?
I think we all in West Coast.
No, Monkey tipped Geelong actually.
Yeah, right.
And
I think the rest
of us tipped.
Big West guys.
I didn't even think twice about it either. I thought West Coast would go over there and beat them.
We're talking about Geelong hadn't fired up. They hadn't shown that they were, flag favourites or thereabouts as they'd touted to be.
Did they fire up because Cameron was back?
Well, he kicked 3. I think he hadn't touched the ball 9 times. Like, I don't think it was just because of Jeremy Cameron. But when you've got him and Hawkins and Gary Rowan, because they all kicked 3, and we talk about the Eagles having, their 3 towers in Darling and Kennedy and Oscar Allen, it taxes your backs. And last week they also lost Jeremy McGovern pretty early, probably their best tall defender. Shannon Hearn out. Then you start going, how do we
bit thin down back,
how do we play on these guys? And it was an absolute rout, and it sort of come out of nowhere. Mitch Duncan was really good. He had 26 disposals and 4 goals. You guys see it?
Yeah, good barrel. Yeah, barrel. Bit of a mung barrel from the boundary. From about 65 out. Yeah, always
that was
good.
To see. Nice to see. If I tried that would have gone 20 rows out to the right. Would have given the kid a little kid out there the footy going into halftime. And Cam Guthrie, he's starting to become, in the conversation as an elite midfielder.
Well, really filling in for Danger and with Ablett out, retired as well.
And
So
stepping up.
he's done his apprenticeship, so he needs to step
Yeah,
up.
I think he was
had
All
30
Australian
I think he was
last year. Yeah, so he's really cemented that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he had 35 in this one. He had 43 a few weeks ago. What do we think here, boys?
Buddy's still out?
Yeah,
he's got another month
probably
at
another
least.
week or 2.
Yeah, they reckon it's,
Yeah, I've picked Geelong.
I've gone Geelong here.
Yep, I've gone Geelong as well.
Yeah, I'll go Geelong. 2 teams you wouldn't expect to be 4-2 going into round 7. So, I mean, it's a credit to the Swans, but again, still too thin. That young list is really going to be tested here. And
Yeah, I agree.
Geelong have been a little bit up and down, but I think they settle here and go 2 in a row here.
Odds, Marks?
Yep, so Geelong are favourite, $1.47. Sydney are out at $2.69.
14.5.
13.5.
Oh, yeah.
Total points, 158.5.
Quite low.
That's a bit low, yeah.
Probably
Anyways,
reflects the injuries, but yeah.
Awesome.
North Melbourne take on Melbourne Demons 1:10 Sunday, Blundstone Arena down there in Hobart. 0-6 North.
I don't think we need to go into too much
Melbourne.
detail of this one.
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight Jack Siebel for the Roos. He's playing pretty good. They've pushed him back on the halfback flank. He had 37 disposals, 14 marks last week. Melbourne, they spoilt Dusty's 250th. They are 6-0 for the first time since 1965. Christian Petrarca won that Frank Checker Hughes medal that we mentioned was coming in.
Brownlow alert.
Yeah. That's fair. He had 38 disposals, 10 clearance, 11 score involvements. Yeah, I think was it you, Joseph, that said he's the most dusty.
Most dusty, yes, yeah, and that gap is getting shorter and shorter every week. Like he's just so powerful through the stoppage. I think the difference is he actually plays more sort of in the midfield, like where Dusty sort of plays forward a little bit more, where they want those one-on-ones. Petrarca is, it took a couple of years, but he is, like, you can't deny he's top 10, top 5 players in the competition at the moment. And you mix Clayton Oliver, that bull inside, Max Gawn feeding you the service, those forwards are all firing.
Christian Salem was really good.
Oh, Christian Salem, yeah, they've definitely, I think they've won that Josh Kelly trade, that the famous one a long time ago, so... but yeah, no, Melbourne are absolutely flying at the moment, and North are grounded.
Melbourne.
Yeah, Melbourne by a lot.
Melbourne by heaps. We'll see if Melbourne can do what the dog. 128, I think it was. So could Melbourne beat North by more than 128? Down at Bloodstone, they've only just got cleared to play down there actually because of travelling and COVID, etc. So
I think they all tested negative after coming back.
Yeah.
They had to quarantine-ish a little bit.
Yeah,
so
snap lockdown down there in the west over the weekend.
Yep.
So they're sweet to go. North Melbourne, they could do a little mini lockdown and go get their asses handed to them by Melbourne in Tassie. So yeah.
Do you think Melbourne can go 10-0?
Yes. Well, they win this, so they're 7-0, and then they have the Swans, Blues, and Crows. So
that looks like 10-0 to me.
That looks like 10-0 to me as well.
And then they'll be 10-1 after that.
And then, round 11, they have the Dogs. We'll get to that in a month. Thanks, Jade. Essendon Carlton 3:20 Sunday afternoon. MCG. Both teams are 2 and 4. Essendon coming off a massive win in that Anzac Day clash against the Pies. As we mentioned, Darcy Parish won the Anzac medal with 42 disposals and 2 goals. He joins Dane Swan with the only 2 blokes to get 40 on Anzac Day. And tipper Anthony McDonald, Tippin Woody had 5 sausage rolls, and he just steps up for the big games. And his tackling pressure, oh my god,
I'd say top. I want to say best, but probably let's fucking say it. Best tackling forward in the competition, and he converts it into goals as well.
He sure does. Yeah,
he's an absolute gun.
He never gives up. They did lose Aaron Francis to a calf injury. It's a little bit indiscriminate as to how long he will be out. Carlton coming off that 18-point loss to the Lions. The one bright note was Harry McKay. We've talked about him before. He booted 6. He is 22 for the season. He's like really putting his hand up, I'm an elite forward.
Big time. He'd be leading the Coleman?
I think Tex might still be close.
Yeah, okay.
I'll chase that up.
I think Tex is probably just in front.
Yeah, but like you said, Peps, Carlton, Sam Walsh continues that really good form from the start of the year. Cripps is just sort of going. You've got down here poor Eddie Betts. He's going on in age. I think a few fans are calling for him to be dropped, after 0 goals 4 on the weekend. When you lose by 18 points, 2 of those would have been handy, Eddie. So I think, like I've been saying, the Blues should be copping as much heat as Collingwood at the moment for mine. Like they should be a little bit better than what they're going. They've got a lot of good pieces there.
They've got Sad there that's been playing pretty well.
Yeah, Saad was a great pickup. The back, you got Wiedering back there. Back there, but Wiedering obviously from Melbourne. Kerry Mackay killing it. I've actually got Carlton winning this game. I think Essendon could, the young players could really ride the high of Anzac Day and that emotion that we sort of talked about. That's going to be a big come down from that. And Carlton a little bit more desperate here to get the win. Whatever Essendon do for the rest of the year, I think they've proved that they're on the up again. We don't think they're going to go near the 8 or anything. Whereas Carlton, again, this desperate, we need to win. No Aaron Francis. They're going to be very small down back, and we've talked about Mackay being very, big and influential down there. Carlton.
He is second behind Tex in there.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. Thank you, sir. Pretty even midfield matchup. I'm going to go Carlton by only a handful of points.
Yeah, I've gone Carlton as well, just slightly ahead, but no confidence.
Need to finish, Pat. Need to play the fourth quarter.
Blue Baggers here. Yeah, if they play 4 quarters, they win this.
I'm going with my heart and going Essendon. They are out at $2.18 at the moment. Carlton are favourites at $1.69.
Nice.
And it's shaping up to be a very close game. The line's at 7.5 at the moment.
Right. I don't think. Yeah. Right. Cool.
The final game of the round, the derby at the West.
Derby. That's what they say in Perth. They call it derby. Moron.
That is right. I think they do say derby. West Coast and Fremantle 4:40 out at Optus Stadium. West Coast were embarrassed in Geelong last week. Jerry McGovern having that groin injury. There's talk that Josh Kennedy could be back after missing last week with an ankle.
Did you hear about him? So just quickly about some of his rehab, trying to run with his ankle. He actually wasn't allowed at the facility, so he was caught with his dog having to do laps around the outside. He actually wasn't allowed inside the fence for whatever reason.
Oh, really?
Because he was locked out, so he had his dog and he was just doing laps around the facility. That's how you do your sort of fitness testing these days. Right. The modern era, but a couple big outs there. Shannon Hearn in there. Peps, what have you got?
Yeah, so
he'll be back.
If he does get cleared to play, he's coming off a soleus strain. That's a calf. He's in line to break Dean Cox's 290-game record for West Coast. If he is in, Shui, Yo and Petrocelli should be close, and Liam Ryan is out for a while. Freo, on the other hand, they're coming off a 51-point win against the Roos in an empty Optus Stadium due to that snap lockdown over there in Perth. Matt Tabiter and Lockie Schultz 4 sausage rolls each. And the Freo mids, Sarong is just getting better and better. He had 35. Fife was doing 5 things. He had 34. Brayshaw, 31. And we're speaking about him a few weeks ago. Dave Mundy, he had...
Brownlow alert.
Yeah, 30 and 3 goals. Yeah, I think you were saying only the Bont had done that this season, so Mundy joins that crew there. I'm looking forward to the ruck matchup personally.
Resident Ruckman.
Resident Ruckman here, Resident Nuffy. Nick Nat, the experience of him taking on the 112 kilo big fella, Sean Darcy.
Yeah, the big fella.
He's a big fella, and he has the most hit outs ever through 28 games. And I think
Cool start,
yeah, he's got. I think he actually owns that through 30 games, so he's got 2 games in hand.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did his apprenticeship under Aaron Sandilands. Can Freo get an upset here?
Well, aren't Fremantle, I think they're 6th on the ladder at the moment?
Yeah, very surprising. Very surprising.
They're
6 on the
higher
ladder.
than you'd think.
They've had a very, very soft draw. They haven't actually beaten anyone of them.
There is that.
They aren't beating anyone they haven't beaten anyone too noteworthy. And again, that away form. So I mean, obviously, they beat the Roos last week in Perth. So now they get another game in Perth. Obviously, being the Derby. I really want to tip Freo here. I really, really want to. That big Sean Darcy feeding that young midfield.
I'm in this exact same boat. I've picked West Coast, but I need convincing to pick the Dockers. I'm on the edge.
You don't.
The Eagles coming off a 97-point spanking.
Exactly. They're going to. Adam Simpson called them weak in his press conference. So that's massive words. He's going to give them a spray. Yeah, fuck it. Freo win. Freo get the win. Purple haze out and the Derby will be purple.
Down the centre of the table?
Big statement.
I've got West Coast, but there's no reason why Freo can't knock them off.
Max?
Yeah, very unconfident West Coast.
Those injuries are, like you said, Pepsi, they're good players that aren't playing.
I'll change it. I'll make it a Desmond.
Holy.
Desmond 2. Odds, please, Max, if you wouldn't mind.
Submitted.
Yep. So West Coast are favourites at $1.68 at the moment. Fremantle are $2.19. Line is 4.5.
It's pretty close.
Yep.
Very close.
Very, very close.
All right.
So,
I think
gets us into the final round.
that rolls us into the final round. And to kick that off, I think we'll tackle the UFC. Let's go with some quick notes before we jump into the UFC 261. So it was officially confirmed today. Logan Paul is fighting Floyd Mayweather in a boxing match on June the 5th. The polls still getting out there. I guess people are watching.
Yeah,
they're paying money for it.
Makes money.
Yeah, makes money.
That Jake Paul Askin fight was 90% performers and music acts. So
Snoop Dogg commentating.
Yeah,
they're putting on a show.
Yeah, it's a show. So Floyd's, of course, is like his money, so he wants to cash in on this. So he's getting involved.
Do you think it's disrespectful to like genuine boxers that?
I wouldn't say what Jake, considering his type of opponent. If Floyd doesn't go out here and smoke Logan, who's I think Logan's 6'2", and he's probably
way bigger than him.
Yeah, he'd have easy 6 inches on him, and probably in the vicinity of 30 pounds. Like he'll be a lot bigger than Floyd is. But Floyd's going to kill him, honestly. So
I don't look.
Don't even question it. Floyd's 15-0. He's the greatest boxer of all time.
Floyd doesn't lose. Floyd doesn't lose. But Floyd doesn't knock guys out that are his size.
He smokes McGregor. He's going to win.
Do you reckon he knocks him out?
Oh, yeah, easy. I think he kills him.
You think he knocks him out?
Yeah.
I don't think he knocks him out.
I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I'm with you, Monks. I honestly, like, the bloke's way bigger than him. It's the greatest boxer pound for pound of all time.
If Logan makes it 4 or 5 rounds deep, he's getting punched 500 times. He's going to get knocked out.
Logan does not put a hand on him.
No, yeah. He's going to get absolutely smoked.
Logan does not put a hand on him, but I don't know that I don't think Mayweather can knock him out.
Oh.
If you knocked out Connor, like...
My point exactly.
Connor's not the size of Logan Paul.
Size doesn't matter.
Yeah, he's a fighter, though. He can cover his chin up.
Yeah. Connor's a bloke that had probably 30 fights before he got to that point. Logan's a YouTuber that's had 3 or 4.
Yeah, he's got... Yeah.
He kills him.
I'm not a big Mayweather fan, but no one fucking likes Logan Paul.
No one likes the Pauls.
I like Logan Paul more than I like Jake Paul. I'll tell you.
I'd agree with Mac on that point too. Yeah. No. Logan is a bit more of a not chills probably. He's a bit more laid back.
Less in your face.
Yeah.
That's the one.
And June 5, it's not that far away. Really.
No, not that far away at all.
Weeks. Yeah.
Speaking of upcoming fights, TJ Dillashaw is out of his Sanhagen fight. I'm not sure if you guys have seen this. He's doing a bit of sparring work. He's got a massive cut above his eye, needs stitches, so he's unfortunately, out of his fight, which I think was coming up in a couple of weeks. It was next month. Let's talk about probably one of the biggest cards it's of this year, and it's probably one of the biggest cards since let's call it the COVID era for the UFC. First time back with crowds, massive crowd, 15,000 people into. I think it was an ice hockey rink / basketball rink.
There in Jacksonville.
In Jacksonville, of course, had the Buccaneers turn out. Jake Paul was there, and him and DC exchanged some words. DC saying he'd kill Jake Paul in a MMA exhibition kind of match. And,
duh.
Yeah, duh. And Jake was just like, yeah, but I didn't say MMA. I wanted to fight him in boxing, and I'd show him how good my boxing is compared to his. Anyway, DC's a heavyweight, so I don't see any chance of that.
No.
But anyway, this UFC 261 card, top to bottom of the main card, was excellent. Well, there was...
Even the prelims and undercards, I think, had some pretty big fights as well.
So some good fights. But I think we'll stick with the main card. And the first one had our boy, Jimmy Crute, the light heavyweight, fighting Anthony Lionheart Smith. I think Smith was going to win this fight anyway, following it on. But unfortunately for Jimmy, he gets hit with a low, is kind of calf kick, is a bit higher, hits him right on the back of the leg, dead leg, kills his leg completely. Could not stand on it at all. He's we'll get to the Weidman in a minute. He just it just goes nowhere. Like he keeps trying to stand on it, and it's just floppy. It's floppy, flopping around everywhere. It's just really, really bad.
The rise of the calf kick, man. Like it's
massive. Like leg kicks,
it's ruining a lot of blokes.
Are huge at the moment. And Jimmy tried a couple takedowns. He wanted to keep going in the second round. He made it out of the first, but just couldn't keep going. So unfortunately, Lionheart wins. Yeah, play that. Lionheart wins through this. So I think it's his left leg has no kind of feeling. He gets up with this and it just looks terrible afterwards, just below that play.
Did it break it?
It didn't break it. I think it was just nerve damage. So he's just...
nerve damage.
So he instantly goes down and he can't feel his leg. It's a dead leg essentially. It's so he made it out of the first round. He tried standing up for the second. He said he was good to go. Took a backward step and it just collapsed underneath him again. The ref's like, I've seen enough. We can't let you continue.
Yep.
Anthony Smith was gracious with his win, but huge step up for Jimmy. He was getting pieced up with a jab through this, so I don't think he was going to win this fight anyway.
Very classy there from Anthony Smith at the end, embracing Jimmy and wishing him all the best at the end there. But, he can't even step on that left leg, can he?
Yeah, he's like this. He's saying, I'm good to go. And then he steps back on it and it just gives out. And the ref's like, nah, we're done. And, he just, huge step up for Jimmy. We'll hope to see him back. He had a massive shout out for the Anzacs as well, being Australian. Compared it to Veterans Day, of course, in the US. And shouted out and said, hey, send the love and respect back to the Australia and New Zealand countries. So then we roll into Chris Weidman versus Uriah Hall, and Monks, just play the clip. I'm not sure if you boys have seen.
I won't be watching this.
It's not pretty. Restart that. Yeah, first kick. It's the very first kick of the entire match. Low kick, hits it right on the meaty bits of Uriah Hall's knee, and
that's not even the worst bit.
Yeah, breaks both bones in his shin done. He can't stand on his foot. Uriah Hall tries to.
I hate it so much.
There it is.
It gives out. So Uriah Hall, first UFC fighter to ever win a fight without throwing a punch, or strike of that matter. Of course, the history.
That's so unlucky.
The history between these three blokes. So Chris Weidman, of course, same thing happened to Anderson Silva in his fight. Anderson Silva broke his leg in the exact same way. Weidman then wins. So Weidman kind of ended Anderson Silva's title run. Uriah Hall ended Anderson Silva's career, essentially retired after them. So then had this fight.
Beat him twice, didn't he?
Yeah, and then they had this fight where Weidman has almost the exact same injury to Silva against Uriah Hall. The connection these three blokes have had throughout their careers, it's just scary. How it came full circle back to this. It's crazy.
Well, Weidman was... So Uriah Hall's first loss was to Weidman.
That too.
weight win as well. So.
Yeah,
Can we
11
turn
years
this
ago.
off?
We watched it about 8 times.
Can you show the X-ray? So like it's a clean break through all the bones. If you've still got that up, I think it was up a little bit high. Yeah, this. So he's just clean through. He had surgery the next day. He was pretty good out of the surgery, but yeah, huge loss for him. Trying to reinsert himself in the middleweight division. Not sure where Weidman goes from here career-wise. It's got a long road of recovery to get back.
Recovery there. Wishing him all the best for that.
Wishing him all the luck, all the best as well.
Yeah.
So then we roll into the 3 title fights, and was Bullet first or was
Bullet was first? Yeah, Valentina Shevchenko. That is.
Yeah. So Valentina Shevchenko came out and absolutely dominated. Everyone thought Andrade would beat her up with her wrestling, and Bullet just came out and wrestled the shit out of her. Got her into her favorite.
A lot bigger and a lot stronger.
Yeah, like so dominant. And from this, there's pound for pound, the 2 best women in the world is Bullet and Nunes. And they're already talking about they should run back their fight, which would be their trilogy.
Any chance? Do you think?
Well, yeah. Well, Nunes has won both.
Yep.
In the first one, she won by a unanimous decision. She won the first 2 rounds, lost the third one, and everyone said, well, if it went more rounds, Bullet was coming on strong, would probably have won that fight. They did rematch, I think 2018. Nunes won that by split decision. So again, super close. One judge had it for Bullet, so they're 1A and 1B essentially in the middleweight, in the women's division, with Nunes being slightly bigger than Bullet, of course, having the 135 and 145 belts, and Bullet having 125. It is a little bit of a weight game for her.
Massive,
But at 135, that's the nice middle ground for them.
Yeah.
I think they should just fight to the end of time. They're like this. They're so good at how much better they are than everyone else in the division, in the women's divisions. So I'm not sure where Bullet goes through from here. She's cleaned out that division again, so it makes sense for another Nunes fight. But and Nunes done the same, clean out of her division. Like there's nothing else really left. But it was beautiful. Crucifix finish. Elbowed the shit out of Andrade. Wins the fight. Does it easy. Barely gets touched in this.
So it leads into the next fight.
The women's strawweight, which saw Rose Namajunas take on Zhang Wei Li.
Yeah, trying to defeat communism. So she came out.
Jesus.
Well, Zhang, she got heavily booed in this as well. So the American crowd, of course, got behind the American and booed the absolute shit out of her. But it was kind of an interesting fight coming into this. Rose, as Monks and I saw, she was kind of chanting out, I'm the best, hyping herself up.
Getting that mentality right.
Yeah, had husband in the corner, of course, and Pat Berry. So, like,
was that the husband? Because I saw her.
Trainer.
Right.
So, Rose, of course, losing to Andrade. So it's really interesting that, again, the women that were on this fight, losing her championship by the brutal slam knockout that she got from Andrade, but come back. She knocked out Joanna to kind of win the belt originally. So coming into this, everyone worried about would she be able to deal with the power, but her movement, I think the finesse she was so good. Her in and out was beautiful, and then she kind of just sold the little shuffle in. Didn't know where the kick was coming from, and she just head kicked the shit out of Zhang. And then we saw Joe Rogan's reaction to it. So he just shuffles up, and she just misses it and just bang.
That's Tekken shit.
And then knocks it out, and then finishes it off with a few extra hammer fists. Zhang was kind of like, "Hey, you stopped it a bit early," but I think watching it back, she was like, "Hey, nah." And then of course Rogan reactions to this, him, DC, and Anik just getting. Just loving how it was going. Like every one of these fights was just like, oh my god, something else is happening. It was crazy good to watch. Like it was an excellent fight.
Here we go with the reaction.
Because it was huge, and of course,
that's so huge.
Yeah, and the crowd gets behind her. Rose, Rose was in tears after it, kind of finally getting back to that point of she takes some time off after losing the belts. She kind of said that she wasn't ready to be the champion at that first time. So she's come back, re-got her belt, tearing up. Rogan, I think, was tearing up as well during the post-match interview. So
There was some issues after that. McGregor had his spat and attacked that bus a couple of years ago.
Yeah, she was on the bus
She
as
was
well.
injured. I think she was injured.
I don't think she was. I think she was shooken up by it.
But yeah.
Ray Borg was the one that was injured. Got some glass in his eye.
That's right.
But yeah, they.
Yeah, so you
Not
have to come
a
back from that. Yeah.
Yeah, so she had a few mental challenges, of course, with being the champion. So she's reset herself and come back. And excellent. Like, you could not have asked for a better way to become champion again.
No, yeah, it's great.
So we'll top it off. Usman
one.
versus Masvidal, the big massive fight. Masvidal actually looked really good in this compared to the first one.
Yep.
They were back and forth. Monks and I were kind of talking throughout the fight that even just before this, that hey, maybe Masvidal's getting a little bit too cocky. He was getting touched by the jab, and he'd been hit by the right hand a few times, but had been happy, hadn't tasted the power. Masvidal never been knocked out. Even in back to his backyard days, I think he'd been knocked down at least once, twice in their backyard days. Fighting boys twice his size. But yeah, this one, Usman, excellent.
That is such a clean right.
Yeah, clean right. His
striking was
arm
phenomenal.
touches the cheek, like he just destroys. You could see
This is a spit coming out of his.
Well, did you see the still photo? I think at the end of the round, his trainer had poured water over his head, Masvidal, that is, and then you see it all flying. Like whoever that photographer was, got a pay rise.
You just see it.
Bang.
Yeah. So, I think Masvidal, ate the shot really well because if you watch it, you can see him cringing and kind of coming like he's still with it. But then the follow-up shots, you can see after 3, then he goes completely asleep. He got slept. After the fight came out, full respect to Usman. It's like, hey, I didn't feel his power in the first fight. I felt it in this one. I think he murders Colby Covington, who's in line for the next fight. To talk about one of the Diaz brothers probably fighting either Masvidal or Leon Edwards, depending on how that all goes. But yeah, huge knockout for Masvidal to finish off excellent card with no fights going anywhere near the distance.
No. Yeah, looking at the whole main card, first round, second round, first round, second round. So it's a lot of quick finishes there.
What do you guys think? And you guys obviously are much bigger UFC fans than me about the hammer fist, because there was a bit of chat coming out like Masvidal's out before he hits the ground, and then Usman's got to come over the top and bang.
1, 2, 3, 4.
He's not out to that second last one. You could see the other camera angle where they're looking straight down Masvidal's face. Like you can see him cringing, and that's what Herb D sees when he comes across. You can see that he's still there. He's definitely in pain. And it's those 2 to 3 shots that just seal the deal.
You watch his right arm when he's getting knocked down. There's one point where it just gets absolutely limp.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing.
Yeah, you can see it like the second last one, he goes out, and then the last punch, of course, finishes it off. I don't think you can do much with it, because otherwise, if Usman walks it off and then Masvidal has eaten that shot, he's probably going to take a bit to recover, but maybe he gets back up and the fight continues. And yeah.
That's just, you guys see it as part of the sport. That's just good.
It is an unfortunate
It can feel
part of the sport.
unnecessary at times. Yeah.
I think there's some, like, this one's not a complete absolute knockoff. Like, you can see him crumple. His left hand kind of comes up that he's defending himself, and then the follow-up hand fist finishes it off completely. Yeah. But there's some where, that Rose one, actually, no, they're not even the Rose one. Like, there's some where it's just, you can tell just straight away.
You're just mashing brains. But okay, you guys see it. Because I saw there was some chat about, I think,
there's a super fine line. Let's put it that way. There's a super fine line. It's really hard. And, I've shat on Herb Dean in the past for some of his stoppages. I think it was not a too bad one he's come across. He's kind of seen where Masvidal's in. He's eating those. He's given it Masvidal a chance. Like, it's a main event. He's like, hey, maybe. I know he's got an well-renowned chin, but he seemed like, hey, he's not doing anything. He's getting smashed up. Done. Usman, off you go.
Because Usman said that. He said, I'm going to go until I've got a ref telling me to stop. So
that's how they train. Like, yeah. As Masvidal said to Ben Askren, those punches were super necessary.
Yeah.
And then I think wraps up the UFC and UFC news.
Yep.
Quick little note in the F1. And I'd love to get your thoughts on this, Monks. The addition of sprint qualifying to a couple of races this season. They haven't announced what races this will be. Of course, the next race being in Portugal on the weekend. But they've added, I think it was 100K sprint qualifying where the top three win, or top three positions will get points 3, 2, and 1, depending on where you finish. What are your thoughts?
Interesting. I haven't really read too much about it yet. They did trial it last year.
Oh, okay.
I think maybe they talked about it last year for this year. I
know there's been massive chat about how do we, involve some of those other teams. I'd be really interested in this, just because if you crash your car on Saturday, how are you going to race on Sunday, or vice versa, depending on what time zone you're in. But
yeah, that's it. Interesting concept. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. Definitely, if they do put up points for the sprint qualifying, then that opens up the field for some of those mid-tier teams to maybe push forward.
Be competitive.
Definitely makes it very competitive in that midfield team. I think only time can tell, really.
Yeah, I think 100Ks probably ends up only being 20 to 30 minute race.
Yeah, I'd say about that.
I'd be interested to see how this goes, because I think they've said 2 European races and 1 non-European race. So I'm thinking more towards the end of the season. But it's kind of interesting they bring this in now. No, they haven't said this is next season. They've brought it in for now.
Yeah,
which would be, if any other sport brought in, hey, you can now earn bonus points for these random weeks, he'd be like, this is a bit how's it going? But, F1's trying to encourage more spectacles, more overtaking. They want more eyes on the sport, of course.
Yeah,
so.
and they've toyed with the idea of like doing a reverse grid and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So how this might play into that, and how the sprint qualifying ends up choosing your grid for the main race on the Sunday. It'll be interesting to see how it goes, see what happens from it. Definitely, will help close that gap. And I think even potentially next year will be the big year where a lot of the regulations change.
Arrow definitely.
That's where you'll probably see that massive closing of the gap, where we do get to see a little bit more interesting races, a little bit more overtaking, a little bit more aggressive driving.
I agree. So that's a little.
Where are they this weekend?
Portugal. So I think the first time since, I think I said this last week, first time since the 80s, I think they're back in Portugal. Yeah. So back there for the race this weekend. I think Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, of course, would be the red hot favourites to take out this race. Loved, of course, to see McLaren up there near the top with our boy Danny Rick. But if not, Lando Norris has been doing bits as well.
Yeah, he's been driving pretty good. Yeah.
Golf, Peppy?
This is just about my favourite news out of the week. 2 Aussie larrikins, Cam Smith and Mark Leishman. They win the Zurich Classic of New Orleans. It's a pretty fun tournament. They've just gone to the team format 4 years ago in 2017. The first year, actually, Cam Smith won it with the Swede Jonas Blixt. So it's the second time he's won this event. This time he was paired up with an Aussie, and the leash, he was rocking the fake mullet for a little bit there. They just seem like absolutely cool characters. It's a combination of alternate shot foursome and 4-ball, and they came out and they won it by a stroke, I believe. They're so funny. After they won it, they were posting all the best memes that people had sent them. Like I think there's a Step Brothers meme and a Dumb and Dumber, and just like
it makes you just happy to be an Aussie and like golf, just because that they just clearly are just good blokes who just hit the shit out of a golf ball.
Yeah, like big time. And for their troubles, they get $1 million each out of that. So
tidy.
Yeah, good on them. And that's pretty close to my favourite story out of the sporting news from this week. I suppose the last bit of sport that we want to touch on is the soccer. So in the EPL, we've been following the top 4 that race to play in the Champions League next season. Chelsea had a 1-0 win over West Ham. That gets them into 4th, and they leapfrog the Hammers there. I think there's 5 rounds to play in the EPL, with City wrapped up 1st and United wrapped up 2nd. La Liga is poised for a great finish. There's Atletico, Real, Barca and Sevilla all within 3 points there. You'd love to see Sevilla knock off one of the big 3 there. I'll definitely be cheering for them. And then in Ligue 1 in France, it's there's only 2 points between Lille, PSG and Monaco. So those two leagues, it will be a tight finish. Mentioned City's probably wrapped up the EPL, and Bayern and Inter have definitely wrapped up the Bundesliga and Serie A.
I'm a little bit sad that West Ham's out of 4, but
it's still close.
Still close.
It's a big loss because, they were vying with Chelsea.
Yeah, and you call it a 6 point win. You're one of those old 6 point wins.
Yeah,
they
six point turnaround, isn't it? And so I think they find themselves in 5th, 2 points off 4th, if memory serves. I'll just chase that one up here. 3 points off, and then Liverpool a point behind them, Tots a point behind them, and Everton a point behind them. So
very close.
Again, we've been speaking about it for weeks. 3rd and 8th, there's not much between it. But it's do or die now for those teams outside the top 4 if they want to be playing European football next year. And the last bit of soccer news is Real Madrid and Chelsea played this morning our time. This first semi-final leg in the Champions League, empty stadium in the rain. And there was actually some really nice goals scored in this. It was a 1-1 draw. Christian Pulisic, the American left winger, he was cutting it inside the keeper and just toiled with him to put it in the 14th minute.
He's a gun. He's so good.
He's so good. Yeah, he's might be the best American soccer player getting around at the moment. And Karim Benzema, I think he went to 4th all time for goals in the Champions League. He hit the post minutes before. He got one on the chest and then put it straight on his right boot and smacked it into the old onion bag. Oldest
player to score in a semi. He overtook that record.
Yeah, right. 8:34.
33. Coming up on 34.
Yeah.
He took over Ronaldo for that record. Yeah, so still kicking. He's been good for a long time.
He has been. Sort of lived in the shadow of Ronaldo a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so it needs to be the main striker for them in their run for this European Cup. And PSG and Man City play tomorrow morning our time. I'm going for PSG. I think I've said that before. I don't really like any of these clubs, to be honest, but I think I least hate PSG.
Yeah, what's happened recently? Yeah, let's all back PSG.
Oui.
PSG.
Yeah. So
Monks has got the stepbrothers photo shop there of Mark Leishman and Cameron Smith. We might put a link or maybe even post that on our socials. They're bloody funny bastards. It's good to see. What have they got? Hangover, Dumb and Dumber.
Tournament crashes. That's very good chat.
I reckon they have a lot of fun together off the course as well as on the course.
Oh,
Quite
definitely.
possibly.
Some final notes before we finish up. So Caleb, Fairley has tested positive for Rona, so he won't be at the draft. So I just thought I'd throw that in. And I just showed Monkey this. Chris Weidman also showed an X-ray. This is going to sound terrible. Showed an X-ray of not just his shin, but also they found problems with his knees, and of course his cock is in the picture. So Chris Weidman is
great way to finish it.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I thought it was a great finish. I thought great show from him. It was like, hey, I've just had one of the worst injuries on the UFC and a massive surgery to follow it up. But here's a funny picture of my cock next to my knees. So there you go. Shout out to Chris Weidman.
Someone's doing well out there. Good on you, mate. Thanks to everyone that has subscribed to our channel. We're having a lot of fun doing this. Shout out again to our a few fans in India over there. Hope you're all keeping well. Yeah. Can't wait for the Aussie sport over the weekend. And the big one, I suppose, for us is the NFL draft.
2 days away?
Yeah, day and a half, really. Day and a half. Yep, Thursday night, their time. Friday morning, our time. Me and Sean might do a little live experiment on Friday morning. Thank you for listening if you're still with us. But a really short episode actually here on the Esky. We did a separate live show for the NFL. That took the bulk out of it. We've got the NBA coming close to playoffs, and that's about it, I'd say. Yeah, thanks, boys. Appreciate it.
Talk soon, guys.
Thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Go Dogs.
Bye.
See you, bye.